Chapter 650. When did you become so close with her? _3. As soon as she finished speaking, Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen. You go away too. Standing here like a nail. It's so annoying. If it were another man whose wife got hit, he would definitely fight back immediately. But Zhao Shen, he doesn't even dare to fart. Just like a waste. All right, Zhao Shen nodded and responded, following old lady Zhao out of the room. As the mother and son left the room, old lady Zhao sighed. Shen Bao, when will you be able to stand up for yourself? Mom, Furong's temper is a bit strong, but her heart is kind, Zhao Shen said, helping old lady Zhao down the stairs. She hasn't mistreated you, nor did she keep you deprived. Old lady Zhao helplessly shook her head. Isn't a bad temper a flaw? In all of Beijing, which daughter-in-law would arbitrarily command her mother-in-law? Old lady Zhao has worked all her life for the Zhao family, only to have to rely on others in the end, and put up with Shangguan Furong's changing moods every day. What sort of deal is that? From the dark, a shadow hid behind the green plants, quietly listening to the mother and son's conversation. Source: web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Old lady Zhao continued. Shen Bao, isn't equality between men and women being emphasized now? When can our family have this equality? Mom, let it go, Zhao Shen said. It's fine as it is. Why stir up trouble in the family? Old lady Zhao sighed. Shen Bao, I ache for you. The most important thing between husband and wife is respect. Where else would a husband get punished and slapped by his wife at the drop of a hat? Think about it. Hasn't Shangguan Furong bullied you enough? I think you should learn from De Hui. If that doesn't work, seize power with force. She didn't expect Shangguan Furong to be virtuous. She only wished Shangguan Furong could temper her strong nature. Have Zhao Shen suffer less and make their home feel more like a home. Zhao Shen replied, Mom, I know you care about me. But Furong is just like that. Even her own mother can't do anything about her. What can I do? It doesn't matter. That's how I've been living my life anyway. Zhao Shen once complained to old lady Shangguan. Old lady Shangguan reprimanded Shangguan Furong, but in the end, it was useless and even led Shangguan Furong to become more unruly. After that, Zhao Shen didn't dare to complain easily anymore. Old lady Zhao waved her hand. Forget it, I also didn't have hope that you could actually resist. As mother and son moved further away, the dim street light cast long shadows of the two, and a dark green leaf fell on the ground. Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa, watching her own face in the mirror. De Hui was brutal. There was a clear handprint visible on her left cheek. Just then the butler walked in from outside. Madam. What's the matter? Shangguan Furong looked up at the butler with annoyance. The butler swallowed and said, Comrade Lin Fong is here. Don't see her. Shangguan Furong uttered angrily. Tell her to go home. All right, the butler nodded, turned around and walked towards the door. Lin Fong was carrying a gift. When she saw that the butler had come out, she immediately went up to him. How is it, Butler Lin? Has Madame Zhao agreed to let me in? The butler shook his head and regretfully said, Madam isn't in a good mood today. You should come back another day. All right then. Since Shangguan Furong would not see her, she had to leave. As she turned to walk away, Lin Fong turned around and asked, Butler Lin, we both have the surname Lin. Maybe 100 years ago we were from the same family. You know why I came today. Do you have any news on this? Butler Lin looked back at the room, then to the outside and in a lowered voice said, Comrade Lin Fong, I suggest you give up on the Shangguan family. I heard from Madam that the Shangguan family has found an old flame. They have met and are now discussing the wedding date. Lin Fang's heart skipped a beat. She was extremely distressed. Originally, the position of Shangguan's matron was hers, and now it's been stolen by others. Fortunately, she now had a new goal in mind. Lin Fong sighed. All right, I understand, thank you. You're welcome. After learning this news, Lin Fong with her gifts made her way back. The Enai family. After the Shangguan family left, Enai Qinggui helped Enai Cuihua tidy up the dishes in the kitchen. Enai Qinggui said, Yang Yang's mother, I think De Hui Shangguan's family is quite nice. The old lady is kind, and her children are obedient. When do you plan to settle things with him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 651. When did you become so close with her? _4. Even though Shengguan Furong was a bit of a handful, she was after all a married woman, living away from the Shengguan family. Therefore, she wouldn't have much impact on Enai Tsuehua and Shengguan Dihui's lives. Enai Tsuehua was stunned for a moment, then said, "There's no rush with this matter." "What's there to rush? You two are nearly 40 and 50 years old respectively." Enai Tsuehua continued, "We are both remarrying and we want the wedding to be simple. All we need to do is get a certificate from the Civil Affairs Bureau. There's nothing much to prepare for." She had everything she wanted, and was already very content. How could that be acceptable? When we got married back then, all we needed was a red cloth and a red gown. But times have changed. Now the wealthy are getting married in wedding dresses, looking stunning. Yang Yang's mom, now that you have the means, you definitely should wear a wedding dress at least once. Wedding dresses were not yet popular in the countryside of the 1980s. But in the city, everyone was wearing them. Wedding dresses had become a popular trend. Enai Tsuehua laughed and said, "They are for the younger ones. I am not so young anymore." Enai Chenggui replied, "What does it have to do with age? If you have the means, why not wear it? If you don't wear one now, you will surely regret it later when you are older." He then added, "Yang Yang's mom, seriously, when exactly are you and Shengguan planning on holding the wedding? Madam Shengguan is waiting for a response." Enai Tsuehua considered for a moment, then said, Perhaps we'll hold it in early spring after the Chinese New Year." At this time of the year, Enai Yang was quite busy. Little Enai Yin was still small, and Enai Tsuehua wanted to spend more time with Shengguan Dehui before the wedding. Having experienced a failed marriage once, Enai Tsuehua was somewhat fearful of the term marriage. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. Hearing this, Enai Chenggui was relieved. Actually, the people of Shengguan family, including Shengguan Dihui's sister-in-law Su Lian, are all very nice. It's just that Shengguan Furong is a bit off. You know the old saying, eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. Be careful with her when you live with Shengguan Dehui. Eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. This is a folk proverb. It means that the eldest sister-in-law tends to meddle in her husband's family affairs, while the youngest sister-in-law is prone to making trouble. Clearly, Shengguan Furong was no good at all. Enai Tsuehua chuckled. "I won't be living with her anyway, so what's there to worry about?" Enai Chenggui said, "The fear is that she will be nosy and stir up trouble. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. You wouldn't want to regret it later if you end up being taken advantage of." Enai Tsuehua nodded. Enai Chenggui continued, "Your future mother-in-law is indeed a good person. She told me today that she agrees to let Shengguan Dehui live with you after the wedding. It was rare for a mother-in-law to agree to let her son live in her daughter-in-law's house. This arrangement was hardly different from having a stay-at-home son-in-law." "Really?" Enai Tsuehua was somewhat surprised. She was actually quite fearful of living in a large mansion of a wealthy family. "Absolutely." Enai Chenggui replied, "Madam Shengguan told me herself. But there is one condition. She hopes you two can visit her once a week." Enai Tsuehua nodded. That would only be right. After hearing this, Enai Tsuehua felt much more relieved. As the night deepened, Enai Yang saw Emo Qishan off at the edge of the village. The nights in October were rather crisp. The moonlight cast a silvery sheen on everything. By the time they arrived at the outskirts of the village, the car hadn't arrived yet. Emo Qishan held Enai Yang's hand. "Yang. Enai Yang looked up at him, her long lashes casting dense shadows on her eyelids. Emo Qishan continued, "When are your mom and Uncle Shengguan planning on holding their wedding?" Enai Yang was taken aback. She didn't expect Emo Qishan to ask this question. She thought that Emo Qishan would have some reservations about the Shengguan family to some extent. During dinner, although Shengguan Furong didn't openly ridicule Emo Qishan anymore, she didn't show him a friendly face either. "I'm asking you a question." Emo Qishan pinched her face a bit. Enai Yang replied, Older brother Mo, aren't you even a little bothered by Aunt Furong's attitude? Why would I care about what she does? Mo Qishan replied. She is her, and Uncle Shangguan is Uncle Shangguan. At the very least, the rest of the people from the Shangguan family are very polite. Young nodded. Older brother Mo, you're right. You haven't answered my question yet. Mo Qishan continued. Young gave a slight smile. I'm not sure about that either. I don't know what my mom and Uncle Shangguan have planned. She had no objections, no matter when the wedding was held. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 652. When did you become so close with her? _5. Mo Qishan looked up at the bright moon and said, I hope they can get married soon. Why? Young was somewhat puzzled. Because then we can be together sooner. Mo Qishan lowered his head and unexpectedly kissed her red lips. The temperature at the corners of his mouth was slightly cool, his lips as thin as paper as though he was kissing an ice cube. Young pushed him away, laughing and leaving a row of teeth marks on his lips. Shameless, who wants to be with you sooner? You haven't passed the probation period yet. Boss, isn't it unfair? Mo Qishan said, feeling aggrieved. It's been a long time. Why haven't I passed the probation period? Young quirked an eyebrow. You dare to question the words of your superior? I dare not, I dare not. Mo Qishan surrendered. Whatever you say is right, boss. Young laughed lightly, nodding and said, That sounds more like it. All thanks to you, boss. Young smiled faintly, her lips curling in a shallow dimple. The moonlight shone a layer of soft glow on her body. The gentle breeze blew her long hair, and she seemed like an immortal who had descended from the moon. One couldn't help but want to kiss her. Mo Qishan stepped forward, extended a finger to gently lift her chin. His lips parted slightly. Boss, shouldn't you reward me since I am such an obedient person? His nose was only 0.1 millimeters from hers. Source: web novel. Com, updated on N0 New. The cold moonlight penetrated from the side, illuminating both of them, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. He is such a great charmer. Young looked at him quietly. Even for someone like her who had returned from the future, she found it difficult to resist Mo Qishan's sweet words. Such beauty is fatal to man. Their thin lips drew closer, their noses touching. Just at that moment, a harsh white light shone from a distance, followed by the sound of a car engine. Young quickly pushed Mo Qishan away, tidied up her hair, and behaved as if nothing had happened. Mo Qishan, caught off guard, nearly stumbled. Looking at the origin of the white light, his face turned as black as coal. The car was getting closer and closer. Wu Daming, who was in the driver's seat, got quite a scare seeing Mo Qishan in such a state. Oh shit. How terrifying. Who had the guts to upset Mo Qishan? Was it Yang? Did they have a falling out? Looking at Yang, she seemed just as usual. What on earth is going on? Wu Daming parked the car and got out with a goofy grin on his face. Good evening to brother 6 and sister-in-law. Good evening. Yang's tone was indifferent. Mo Qishan's entire face screamed unhappiness. He had learnt about the French kiss from a book yesterday, but hadn't had the opportunity to put it into practice. Finally, when there was a perfect chance. 6 brother, what's wrong? When Wu Daming walked up to Mo Qishan, he asked, Are you feeling unwell? Mo Qishan forced a smile. I'm fine, I'm very well. Wu Daming scratched his head innocently. Oh, it's good if you're fine, brother 6. Let's go back then. Okay. Mo Qishan nodded. I'll go back first then, see you big brother Mo. Young waved at Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan then said, Light the way for your sister-in-law with the headlights. Okay. Wu Daming nodded, ran to the car, switched on the headlights, illuminating the road in front of him as bright as day. Watching Yang's figure disappear by the roadside, Mo Qishan then got in the car. He took out a cigarette from his pocket, held it between his thin lips and said, Daming. Wu Daming responded and turned his head. What's up, brother 6? Mo Qishan continued. There have been a few minor issues with the engineering department in F continent. You will go on my behalf to take a look. Along the way, take charge of supervising the work. In 2 months, I will arrange for someone suitable to take over your job. F continent. Upon hearing this word, Wu Daming's brows furrowed deeply. The sun in F continent is scorching, the weather hot and conditions harsh. Spending a day there would peel off a layer of skin. If he stays for 2 months, he would be so sunburnt that even his mother won't recognize him when he returns. He hasn't even gotten married yet. Wu Daming was almost in tears. Sixth brother, what did I do wrong? Mo Qishan took a drag from his cigarette. You didn't do anything wrong. You are just too outstanding, too excellent. What? Wu Daming was stunned. Was Mo Qishan praising him? There's no one else but you who can handle this job around me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 653. When did you become so close with her? _6. Really? Truly? Wu Daming asked in surprise. Mo Qishan gave a slight nod. Of course. Sixth brother, you're the best. Wu Daming said confidently. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I believe you. Naive Wu Daming didn't realize he was being schemed by Mo Qishan. He packed up his things the very next day and happily boarded the plane to the M continent. With time, the business of the Color of Heaven and Earth restaurant kept booming. Due to the expensive dishes, there weren't people waiting in line every day, but it was always full house. Besides, more than 30 of the 50 membership cards had been successfully sold. Now, it was the first choice for high-end banquets. Not only did the Color of Heaven restaurant have a good environment and service, but the food was also excellent, far superior to other restaurants. Mr. Wang, this way. Shang Guansu led a few middle-aged men in suits inside. Among them, there were a few foreign men. Welcome, gentlemen. Please come in. The greeter greeted warmly from inside. Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. As soon as they stepped inside, they were dazzled. Nobody expected the interior decoration of the restaurant to be so stunning. It exuded an ancient charm everywhere. It gave an illusion of stepping back in time. The man referred to as Mr. Wang exclaimed, "When did such a restaurant open in Beijing? I had no idea." The foreign men also gasped in astonishment. This restaurant was simply too stunning. This expression arose spontaneously, without any embellishment. Shang Guansu said, "Given that you're not often in the country, it's normal not to know." Mr. Wang turned to Shang Guansu asking, "Who's the owner of this restaurant?" Someone capable of opening this kind of restaurant in Beijing must be an influential figure. It seems there is going to be a shift in power in Beijing. Who exactly was this rising star? Shang Guansu shook his head. "I'm not quite sure." Mr. Wang was amazed. "Is there something you don't know?" As the head of the party, if a restaurant loan application is made, it has to be reviewed by Shang Guansu. Could it be that this rising star didn't apply for a loan at all? There were many families in Beijing who could open restaurants without loans, but they wouldn't be low-key. Shang Guansu nodded. "Indeed, it's a shame." Actually, Shang Guansu was also very curious. Who was this genius who could create such a restaurant and provide such service? One could say that once you've visited this restaurant, you would lose interest in others. Mr. Wang continued. "Who ran this restaurant before?" "Chen Jitsong," Shang Guansu answered. Mr. Wang thought for a moment, then said, "The young heir of the Chen family?" "Yes," Shang Guansu nodded. Mr. Wang smiled. It turned out that this heir of the Chen family studied hotel management abroad, but he was defeated by a nameless individual. Shang Guansu commented, "One should not equate theoretical knowledge with practice. No matter how well you study, it's ultimately just book knowledge." Mr. Wang nodded. "You're right." With that, Mr. Wang was even more curious about the mysterious rising star. While they were chatting, they kept walking inside. "Please, gentlemen, take a seat over here." A waiter dressed in Han clothing led them to a booth with lanterns. Shang Guansu said, "We're here to discuss business. It might not be convenient downstairs. Can we go upstairs?" "I'm sorry, sir, But the private rooms on the second floor are fully booked, replied the waiter. What about the third floor? Shang Guansu asked next. The upstairs is exclusively for VIP customers. The waiter then explained the procedure to become a VIP customer to Shang Guansu and the others. This was Shang Guanzu's second visit to the restaurant, and it was the first time he had heard about the VIP system. This VIP system sounded quite fresh, but the membership fees were relatively high. A card costs more than 800 yuan, and there was a minimum spending requirement each month. Mr. Wang nodded. This owner is interesting. After obtaining a membership, Shang Guansu and his party proceeded to the third floor. The third floor was like a hidden paradise, presenting a visual feast. Mr. Wang commented, the over 800 yuan is worth it. Waiter, please sign me up for a membership card. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 654. When did you become so close with her? _7 In just a short time, 2 membership cards were successfully sold. When the ordered dishes were served, everyone was too preoccupied with eating to even discuss business matters, because the taste was simply too incredible. Furthermore, the dishes were a feast for the eyes, nose, and tongue. Mr. Wang remarked, the food I had at the state banquet in Q country doesn't even compare to this. Initially, they thought that this restaurant with its great service and beautiful decor would probably only have mediocre food. To their surprise, the dishes were astonishingly delicious. Even a simple dish like vegetable tofu soup had a unique taste. The flavors lingered on their tongues. The foreign guests almost wished they could swallow their tongues along with the food. After the meal, there were exquisite desserts. Normally, men did not care much for desserts. However, today, a small piece of tiramisu had them bending over backward. It was simply too delicious, wasn't it? The group had arrived at 11 in the morning. After dining and discussing business, they didn't leave until 4 in the afternoon. Source: webnovel.com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Omicron. Mr. Wang. Well, consider the cooperation matter settled then. Yes. Mr. Wang handshake with Shang Guansu. They continued their conversation as they headed downstairs. While descending the stairs, Shang Guansu suddenly spotted a familiar figure. Brother. Enai Yang approached to greet him. Since the relationship between Shang Guandehui and Enai Tsuehua had been confirmed, Enai Yang had also started calling him brother. Seeing Shang Guansu here, of course, she would take the initiative to say hello. Yang. Shang Guansu nodded, turned to Mr. Wang and introduced, this is my sister Enai Yang. Yang, this is Mr. Wang. Nice to meet you, Mr. Wang. In the catering business, etiquette is paramount, so Enai Yang extended her right hand first. Hello. Mr. Wang looked at Shang Guansu in surprise. I didn't expect you to have such a beautiful sister. Mr. Wang knew that Shang Guansu had a twin sister named Shang Guanxi, whom he had met before. Although Shang Guanxi was also pretty, she was not as stunning as the girl in front of him now. Since Enai Yang's surname was Enai, she certainly wasn't his biological sister. Shang Guansu modestly replied, Mr. Wang, you flatter her. Enai Yang added, brother, I have some things to do, so I won't disturb you. All right. Shang Guansu nodded. Enai Yang politely nodded to the group and continued to the third floor. The third floor was designated for VIP customers. Could it be that Enai Yang was also a VIP customer here? Shang Guansu contemplated. Enai Yang ran 4 milk tea shops and noodle restaurants, totaling 8 stores, and their monthly profits were unimaginable. Being a VIP client of this restaurant was perfectly normal. Actually, Enai Yang was here to check the accounts. The office was conveniently located at the far end of the third floor. Mr. Wang was a highly influential person in their circle. The people accompanying him today were also not ordinary. After their glowing recommendations, the restaurant became quickly popular in their circle. The remaining membership cards were all sold within a day, and the second-floor private rooms even had to be booked 2 days in advance. In a short time, the restaurant made quite a stir in the industry. Many people were itching to try, wishing to emulate their success. Since she injured her face, Shangguan Furong had not left the house for 3 days. Only after the marks on her face had completely disappeared, she arranged to meet Jia Jinjin and other wealthy housewives for a game of mahjong and afternoon tea. Just as Shangguan Furong left in her carriage, Lin Fong arrived. It was the butler who received Lin Fong as usual. "Comrade Lin Fong, your timing is quite unlucky. The lady of the house just left," he said. Lin Fong replied, regret written all over her face. "Ah, really? When will Mrs. Zhao be back?" The butler shook his head. "I'm not entirely sure." "Who is it?" Madame Zhao emerged from inside the house. The butler answered, "Madam, this is the lady of the house's friend, Comrade Lin Fong." Lin Fong said with a smile, "Hello, madam." "Oh, Xiaolin, do come in and have a seat." Madame Zhao invited Lin Fong inside warmly. "All right," Lin Fong nodded, following Madame Zhao into the house. The butler was puzzled. Since when did Lin Fong and Madame Zhao become so familiar? Meanwhile, Shangguan Furong was busy playing mahjong with a few wealthy ladies. She had lost several rounds consecutively. On top of that, one was boasting about her newly purchased anti-aging cream with skin rejuvenating properties, and another was showing off her new acquisitions. Shangguan Furong was so irritated that she nearly overturned the mahjong table. "What's going on with you today, Furong? Your luck is so bad. Are you bothered by something?" Jia Zhenjin asked. Shangguan Furong drew a mahjong tile. "I have been dealing with a troublesome matter recently." "What is it? Do tell." Jia Zhenjin was extremely curious. It was well known that Shangguan Furong held a high status in her home. Neither her mother-in-law at the top nor her husband at the bottom dared to upset her. And now she was having troubles? It was unheard of. Just unbelievable. East wind. Another wealthy lady tossed a mahjong tile into the river and added, "Exactly, do tell us. Perhaps we might be able to help." These people, they're not really interested in helping her. All they're waiting for is a good laugh. Shangguan Furong calmly eyed each person and continued, "Actually, it's not my problem. This issue involves my friend's daughter. She's quite rebellious. At the tender age of 18 or 19, she's already dating and looking to settle down. What's more, the guy she's with has a notorious reputation." Shangguan Furong cleverly turned Inai Yang into her friend's daughter. Jia Zhenjin commented, "Having a clueless daughter is really unfortunate for your friend." The others agreed. When stuck with such a clueless daughter, there's nothing to do but accept your fate. "Actually, I have a solution." The wealthy lady with curled hair spread her mahjong tiles on the table. "I made a flower upon a Kong. I've won. Pay up. Pay up." The other three tossed their money into the river. Shangguan Furong said, "Manlin, you say you have a solution, what is it?" The wealthy lady with curled hair continued, "Why not introduce her to someone better? With parents' orders and matchmakers' words, she can't possibly refuse, right?" Shangguan Furong laughed immediately. "You're right. I'll discuss this with my friend." Indeed, why hadn't she thought of this solution herself? She could introduce Inai Yang to someone far superior, a man from a background that matches the Shangguan family's status. At that time, Inai Yang would undoubtedly be grateful to her. Shangguan Furong's mood immediately improved. Her improved mood brought better luck, and she won several rounds in a row. The ladies once again badgered Shangguan Furong for a treat. "So it's the end of the month and money is tight. Furong, you've won so much today, you must treat us to a good meal." Shangguan Furong laughed. "Look at you guys casting your ambitions so low. I've always said that a woman should control the household finances. How can you let a man be in charge?" Among these wealthy women, including Jia Zhenjin, who wasn't reliant on her husband for pocket money, Shangguan Furong was the only one distributing money to her husband. Everyone was green with envy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 655. Seeking trouble at your doorstep. Letting off steam. _1-inch Furong. Oh, how we all envy you. You've got such a good life. You can make your husband dance to your tunes. Exactly, exactly. Furong, how do you manage to do it? Can you teach the rest of us? In an era where the concept of men being superior to women hasn't faded entirely, How many women could be like Shangguan Furong? The group mumbled in admiration of Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong herself enjoyed the envious glances from everyone else and laughed. There's not much to it really. You all just need to be a bit more dominant. Don't be so submissive. What's there to fear about men? Furong, you make it sound so simple. Do you think everyone's husband is like your Zhaoxin? Someone who tolerates all hits and bullying. As for my husband, I just hope he doesn't throw tantrums and cut my pocket money. I would be thankful for that. Shangguan Furong laughingly said. True, my husband, Zhaoxin, is like a mouse seeing a cat when he sees me. I call him to the east, and he wouldn't dream of even looking to the south. Everyone envied Shangguan Furong, and eventually, the topic came back to food and they started discussing where to eat. Speaking of which, I heard that there's a unique restaurant in Beijing that serves great food, with enthusiastic service and decoration like the Yaoqi Wonderland, said a lady rich in curls. Really? Jia Zhenjin asked. Indeed. A friend of mine told me the desserts there are wonderful. They have mousse cakes and tiramisu and so on. Source, web novel. Com, updated on N0 New. Omicron, even my husband mentioned it. He went there with a certain Mr. Wang. Oh, and Furong, your nephew Shangguan Su was also there. Shangguan Furong smirked. What's so magical about this restaurant? Is it really that exaggerated? I think it's called Heavenly Fragrance. It's right around Yurdist Road. Shangguan Furong stood up from the chair. All right, let's go to that Heavenly Fragrance place then. Oh, you are saying Heavenly Fragrance? Yes, I have also heard of this restaurant. Jia Zhenjin continued. It's terrific. They have this third floor dedicated exclusively for VIP customer service. Only people of status and prestige in Beijing can get in there. I wish I could get a membership card from them. Shangguan Furong laughed. I've never seen such a restaurant in Beijing. Let's check it out, and maybe also get a membership card. Jia Zhenjin said. But I've heard that the membership cards for Heavenly Fragrance have been sold out. It's impossible to apply now, Shangguan Furong snorted softly. With money, what membership card can't you get? It's just a restaurant. What's the big deal? They left the house and walked towards Heavenly Fragrance together. Heavenly Fragrance is located in the busiest street on Yurdist Road. The signboard carries 4 powerful characters. There were no people waiting outside the door. Shangguan Furong snorted with contempt. Wasn't there supposed to be a queue? It seems deserted. Jia Zhenjin laughed. Definitely, the so-called Heavenly Fragrance is nothing special. The other two also looked unimpressed. So this was the much-hyped Heavenly Fragrance. They only realized what a bustling place it was after they stepped through the door of Heavenly Fragrance. In the restaurant, there were separate outer and inner halls. A light veil divided the outside and inside halls. Subtle sandalwood incense was burning in the corner. A young woman dressed in hanfu was sitting before a spectacular pile of leaves, playing a pipa. It felt as alluring as a woman hidden behind her pipa. Though the queue was in the outer hall, the serene environment didn't make it seem crowded or noisy. Instead, it was quite charming and made people linger. Oh my gosh! There really is a queue! Jia Zhenjin exclaimed. This place is so beautiful. Even the waitstaff's clothes look pretty. Even Shangguan Furong was taken aback by the place. It was indeed different from other restaurants. This way, please. Is it a party of 4? A waitress in hanfu approached them. Yes. Shangguan Furong nodded. There are 4 of us. The waitress led them to a table. We'll have to wait a little longer. We are booked on the inside. As soon as they sat down, someone provided them with tea and sunflower seeds. Hey, are these ancient Chinese clothes you're wearing? Jia Zhenjin asked. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 656. Asking for trouble at your doorstep. Venting your anger. _2. This is the Han Chinese traditional costume, the Chiru Hanfu. Jia Zhenjin nodded. Oh, where did you buy this one? It's so gorgeous. It makes her want to buy a set. Our boss had this custom made at a factory. She personally designed the patterns and styles. The traditional Chiru Hanfu has wide sleeves, but we have modified it to narrow sleeves for serving convenience. Your boss is quite proficient, Jia Zhenzhen exclaimed. By the way, this is your queue number. The waiter handed Shengguan Furong a white strip of paper. The paper was written number 58. What does this 58 mean? Shengguan Furong asked. The waiter explained. You are the 58th group of customers. There are 57 groups ahead of you. 57 groups are waiting ahead, Shengguan Furong exclaimed in surprise. You must be joking. Even if each group spends half an hour eating, they still have to wait 28 hours. The waiter laughed and said, Don't worry, our table turnover rate is quite fast, and the interior is spacious too. Sometimes, when one group finishes, several tables are immediately available. You probably only have to wait for a couple of hours. Shengguan Furong couldn't even wait for 10 to 20 minutes, let alone a couple of hours. Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Omicron. Shengguan Furong continued. Didn't I hear that you have some kind of VIP membership? Give us each one. With an apologetic look, the waiter said. I'm sorry, comrade, our VIP membership cards are all sold out. Frankly, their staff never imagined that the membership cards, priced over 800 yuan each, would one day be sold out, even creating a shortage. Shengguan Furong asked again. How much is your membership card each? 888, the waiter replied. 888, to ordinary people is astronomical, but for the wealthy, it's just a meal money, nothing more. Shengguan Furong pulled out a wad of bills from her wallet. Here, I have 1,600 yuan. Set me up with your membership card. Sorry, comrade, it's not about the money. There are many rich people in Beijing who can readily offer thousands, but that still wouldn't get them a card. Our restaurant's membership card is limited. We are no longer issuing new ones. Limited edition again. She expected skincare products to be limited editions, but never thought restaurant dining would be limited too. Shengguan Furong pulled out another stack of bills. How about these? The waiter repeated his previous statement. Jia Zhenzhen said, Young lady, just tell us how much you want, okay? Our Furong lacks nothing, least of all money. The two rich ladies next to her chipped in. That's right. Furong lacks nothing, especially not money. A smile slowly formed on Shengguan Furong's face. Comrades, this isn't about money. Our restaurant only issued 50 VIP cards. If you want to be members, you need to wait and see if anyone returns their cards. Typically, no one returns their cards. Given the booming business of the Gus Tianxiang, being a VIP customer and dining on the third floor has become a status symbol. In Beijing, it's rare for any high-end restaurant to achieve such popularity. The success of Gus Tianxiang has disrupted the traditional food market. Frustrated by the membership process, an angry Shengguan Furong asked, Do members still need to line up? Not required, the waiter shook his head. We have a designated VIP reception room. Shengguan Furong is the type who wants more when she realizes something isn't easily attainable. Call your manager over. I need to speak with him. The waiter looked at Shengguan Furong and, noting her attire, realized she was no ordinary individual. He begrudgingly summoned the general manager. The general manager is Gu Lanji. She was a talent that Inai Yang had poached from a state-run large restaurant. Hello. Gu Lanji greeted politely. As a general manager, Gu Lanji was not wearing hanfu, but a standard suit, a pencil skirt and black high heels, with a walkie-talkie on her ear. She gave people the impression of a business elite. I want a membership card. Name your price, Shengguan Furong said to Gu Lanji. Gu Lanji raised an apologetic smile. Ma'am, I think there may be some misunderstanding. The memberships of our restaurant are limited. We currently don't have additional spaces. No matter how much money you offer, our answer remains the same. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 657. Looking for trouble at your doorstep. Letting off your steam. _3. Limited edition products, if sold exhibitionally, would disrupt the market rules. If the first customer is an exception, and the second and third customers are not, it would offend the customers. If supplied unlimitedly, VIP cards would lose their significance and become cheapened. National Beauty treats all its customers the same. I'm so sorry. Gu Lanji bowed to Shangguan Furong before turning around and leaving. Shangguan Furong wanted to say something else, but Jia Zhenjin tugged at her arm. Forget it, Furong. I've heard that the VIP card of National Beauty is hard to get. How about we just wait in line for a while? No matter how much Shangguan Furong kicked up a fuss, they wouldn't issue her one. Reluctantly, she sat down. The wealthy woman with curled hair said, "Don't worry. My husband has been here with Mr. Wang before. He may be able to borrow a card from a friend. When he gets the card, he'll take you all to the third floor to experience it." Everyone has a sense of curiosity. The VIP lounge on the third floor was touted as something extraordinary, and everyone wanted to experience it. Upon hearing this, Jia Zhenshin's eyes lit up. She clung to the rich woman's arm and said, "That sounds great, Yun. We're all depending on you. You must keep your word. Don't sneak over there on your own when the time comes." Zhao Yun laughed. "No problem, it's a piece of cake for me." Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Zero. Upon hearing this, Shangguan Furong felt even more distressed. She was supposed to be the one everyone was fawning over. So how did it become Zhao Yun all of a sudden? No, this can't be. She must also get a VIP card. Only then she could regain her status. After all, Zhao Yun was only borrowing from someone else. National Beauty had indeed a quick turnover rate, so they only waited for about an hour and a half before a table became available. The four wealthy women ordered 8 dishes, 3 desserts, and also ordered a strawberry milk tea. These wealthy women were used to eating exotic dishes, but this time, they were conquered by some seemingly ordinary food. Having the chance to eat such delicious food, let alone waiting in line for an hour and a half, they wouldn't mind waiting 10 hours. After leaving National Beauty, Shangguan Furong returned to Zhao family's residence. Lin Fong was sitting properly in the living room. Seeing Shangguan Furong enter, she immediately stood up and said with a smile on her face, "Mrs. Zhao, you're back." "Lin Fong? How come you're here?" After all, Lin Fong was once going to be her sister-in-law, so Shangguan Furong had a reasonably good impression of her. Lin Fong smiled. "Mrs. Zhao, I am here about that matter as usual." Of course, Shangguan Furong knew what that matter referred to. "Lin Fong, my brother has already found a suitable partner. You can stop thinking about that matter." Although she did not like Enai Tsuehua at all, she would not show any dislike in front of outsiders. Lin Fong looked disappointed and sighed. "It seems that I am not destined to be with Mr. Shangguan. Mrs. Zhao, thank you for your consideration during this time. By the way, this is a token of my gratitude. Please accept it." As she finished speaking, Lin Fong put the gift box she was holding on the coffee table. The gift box was light green, very high-end and classy. Shangguan Furong instantly recognized it as the new Ice Skin Jade Complexion product. Although it's not the Supreme Edition, it was still a limited edition. Take it back. I really can't accept such a gift. Even though Shangguan Furong really wanted the limited edition product, she also deeply understood the principle of no reward without merit. "Mrs. Zhao, I've been working with you for a long time, and I think you're a very nice person. I feel a connection with you. I want to give you the Ice Skin Jade Complexion not for any other reason, just to make friends with you." After a pause, Lin Fong added, "Mrs. Zhao, you were born noble, and there's a natural grace about your every movement. Being your friend would be my good fortune. Of course, it would be my honor if you accept my gift." Lin Fang's words successfully lifted Shangguan Furong into the clouds. Who doesn't like a little flattery? Of course, in this era, there's no such thing as rainbow farts. This is called flattery. Got to say, Lin Fong accurately pinpointed Shangguan Furong's Achilles heel. Why not accept a gift and listen to someone flattering you at the same time? Shangguan Furong then said, "In that case, I will accept it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 658. Inviting Trouble. Venting for you. _4. What a shame that Lin Fong couldn't become my sister-in-law. If Lin Fong had become her sister-in-law, Would she have been slapped by Shangguan Dahui for no reason? Further, Lin Fang's lineage is many times more prestigious than Nai Kuihua's. Lin Fang smiled and said, Mrs. Zhao, I knew you would be a good person. Shangguan Furong glanced at the gift box of exquisite beauty products, then turned to the servants standing by, unhappily saying, What are you doing? How could you not even pour a cup of tea for Lin Fang? Is this how you treat guests? I'm sorry, madam. I'll go pour the tea right away. Shangguan Furong smiled at Lin Fang. Servants are just servants, they have no discerning eyes. Don't mind them. Lin Fang replied. As long as you accept my gift, I'm already very happy, why would I mind? Lin Fang nodded her head. She was very satisfied with Lin Fang's cooperative attitude, and it was quite gratifying to feel superior. After some conversation, the two of them had developed a considerable bond. When Lin Fang was about to leave, Shangguan Furong invited her to come over and play more often with a smile. After Lin Fang left. Source Web Novel. Com updated on Omicron New Zero. Shangguan Furong recalled Nai Yang's matter, and the smile on her face gradually faded. She ordered the butler, Prepare a list of all the unmarried men in our circle for me. Although the butler was slightly puzzled, he still did as he was told. Before long, Shangguan Furong had the list. After careful selection, Shangguan Furong finally chose a suitable candidate. She called Zhao Shen over and threw the document at him. What do you think of Qian Weiya? Zhao Shen was somewhat puzzled about Shangguan Furong's remark. Furong, what do you mean? Do you think he would match an Yang? Shangguan Furong continued. Zhao Shen said in surprise. Furong, are you trying to play matchmaker for them? That seems a bit inappropriate. The Qian family holds a significant status in Beijing, but Qian Weiya's daughter Qian Xiaodai is the same age as Nai Yang, and there were rumors that his ex-wife was even the victim of domestic violence. What's inappropriate? Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. Qian family is wealthy and Weiya is capable. Marrying him would be Nai Yang's fortune from a past life. It's still uncertain whether they would favor her. Even if Qian Weiya isn't perfect, he is still much better than Mo Qishan. Plus, Qian Weiya is the head of the family. With the Qian family's support, both the Shangguan and Zhao families would benefit. What does that deadbeat Mo Qishan brings to the table? Once the elderly lady and gentleman Mo passed away, his good days would be over. The Shangguan family couldn't be expected to support him, could they? Nai Yang just wanted to marry a wealthy man, didn't she? Qian Weiya has plenty of money. He could certainly satisfy Nai Yang. Zhao Shen made a difficult attempt at persuading, but Qian Weiya is much older than Nai Yang. His daughter, Qian Xiaodai, is already 19 years old. Nai Yang is just 18 this year. Isn't this just throwing her to the wolves? Shangguan Furong said. Mo Qishan is also 28, isn't he? And doesn't Nai Yang like older men? Furong, this is a bit improper. What do you know? Shangguan Furong narrowed her eyes. If Qian Weiya takes a liking to Nai Yang, she should thank her lucky stars. You have no idea how many girls would give anything to marry into the Qian family. Zhao Shen still looked troubled. Shut up. Shangguan Furong rolled her eyes at Zhao Shen. Zhao Shen was scared into silence. Shangguan Furong continued. Make me a cup of coffee. All right. Zhao Shen turned and walked towards the door. Shangguan Furong leaned back against the headboard, thinking about Nai Yang's business while savoring her coffee, and did not go to sleep until midnight. Early the next morning, Shangguan Furong made a trip to the Qian family. The old lady Qian was over 90 this year, but had retained excellent hearing and vision. She was incredibly energetic. I wondered why the magpies in my garden were chirping this morning. It turns out that a distinguished guest has come. Old lady Qian, you still remember me? Shangguan Furong was pleasantly surprised. But I did indeed come to bring you some good news today. Old lady Qian laughed and said, You are the youngest daughter of the Shangguan family, how can I not remember? Everyone in the privileged circle has some pull. They chatted a bit about other matters before Shangguan Furong broached the main subject. Hearing this, old lady Qian asked, How old is the girl this year? Can she still bear children? Qian Weiya only had a daughter, Qian Xiaodai. The old lady Qian had been dreaming of holding another great-grandson. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, She can bear children. She's still very young. She's only 18 this year. It wouldn't matter if she wants to give birth to 10 or 8 kids. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 659. Seeking trouble at your door. Venting your frustration. _5. Oh, really? There was a glint in old lady Qian's eyes, which weren't cloudy like one might expect. I wonder where the girl is from? Shangguan Furong sighed softly. To tell you something that may make you laugh, my brother has found someone recently. Shangguan Furong briefly introduced Anai Yang's circumstances to old lady Qian. After all, it can't be kept a secret once the two families become related by marriage. It's better to be honest. Upon hearing this, old lady Qian said, "Why don't you bring her over for me to meet her?" Even though Anai Yang is Shangguan Dihui's stepdaughter, she's still acceptable when considering her status. After all, Qian Weiye isn't young anymore. Shangguan Furong then asked, "When would you be available?" Old lady Qian laughed. "I'm an old woman with nothing to do all day. I'm free anytime." "Perfect, then let's leave it at that." "Good." Old lady Qian nodded. Shangguan Furong left the Qian family's house with a cheerful smile on her face. After leaving the Qian's home, Shangguan Furong decided to lower her status and dropped by the Anai family's house. When she arrived, Anai Yang wasn't home. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Seeing Shangguan Furong, Anai Tsuehua received her warmly. This visitor was, after all, Shangguan Dihui's sister. "Furong, come and sit over here." Shangguan Furong stood there. "No need to be so formal. I only have a few words to say and then I'll leave." "Go ahead." Shangguan Furong continued. "Around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, ask Anai Yang to come to my house to see me." Anai Tsuehua frowned slightly. "What do you need to see Yang for?" Shangguan Furong initially wanted to lose her temper. Who was this rural woman to question her? It was already a favor to Anai Tsuehua that she had come here to the countryside. But in the blink of an eye, Shangguan Furong changed her expression and laughed. "Sister Daya, look at your questioning. Am Yang Yang's aunt, aren't I? What could I possibly do to harm her?" She couldn't fall out with Anai Tsuehua before the matter was settled. Anai Tsuehua said, "If you don't state what it's about, how can I tell Yang Yang?" She always felt that Shangguan Furong had no good intentions. This future little aunt didn't seem like an easy person to deal with. Shangguan Furong's eyes shifted. She then said, "It's like this, Sister Daya. The mother of a friend of mine has recently been unwell. Yang Yang is a doctor, right? So I was going to have her come to look at the old woman." "Is that so?" Anai Tsuehua asked. "Of course." Shangguan Furong laughed. "You're not suggesting that I would sell Yang Yang, are you?" After Anai Yang returned home, Anai Tsuehua told her all about it. "Yang Yang, I always feel like Shangguan Furong was acting a bit strange today. Maybe you should not go." Anai Yang smiled faintly. An army's approach can be deflected, just as the flow of water can be diverted. Some matters can't be avoided. And, I would like to see what kind of medicine Shangguan Furong has in her gourd. Just be careful then. Hum. Anai Yang nodded. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Anai Yang went to her appointment on time. The Zhao family's house wasn't hard to find. Anai Yang rode her bicycle there. When she arrived, Shangguan Furong was already at the door waiting for her. Seeing Anai Yang, Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Poor people are always poor. She even arrived on a bicycle. Isn't she ashamed? Don't you usually love wearing cheongsams? Why didn't you wear one today? Anai Yang was dressed in a very ordinary outfit of jeans and a t-shirt that day. Cheongsams are so pretty. They even highlight the figure. The Qian family are wealthy and esteemed. Anai Yang was dressed so plainly. What if the Qians don't take to her? Anai Yang replied casually, "What's wrong with me wearing this?" Shangguan Furong continued, "Never mind, let's go. Remember to speak less after we get there." Anai Yang looked good no matter what she wore, so Shangguan Furong didn't bother telling her to change. The two got into the car, and shortly after, they arrived at the Qian family's house. The Qian family's house was situated in a rich community, and the villa was even more luxurious than those of the Zhao and Shangguan families. As Shangguan Furong walked, she watched Anai Yang's expression. She was hoping that Anai Yang would be amazed by such a luxurious building. Only by fascinating Anai Yang could Shangguan Furong get the upper hand. However, Anai Yang remained serene. Her clear face held no expression at all. Ha! What an actress! Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Anai Yang must have screamed internally several times already, hadn't she? A vain girl like her. Doesn't she just love money? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 660. Bringing trouble to your doorstep. Venting your anger. _6. Who knows? She might even be deliriously happy once Qian Weiye takes notice of her. Upon seeing Shangguan Furong bringing Anai Yang, the butler came out to warmly welcome them. Mrs. Zhao is here. Please come inside. The two entered the hall. Mrs. Qian and Qian Weiye were sitting on the couch in the living room. Furong is here. Please have a seat. Mrs. Qian promptly stood up from the sofa. Shangguan Furong then introduced, Mrs. Qian, this is my niece Anai Yang. Yang, this is Mrs. Qian and Mr. Qian. Anai Yang politely greeted, Mrs. Qian, Mr. Qian. The moment Qian Weiye laid his eyes on Anai Yang, he was stunned. Stunning. Incredibly stunning. Qian Weiye was very pleased with Anai Yang and voluntarily introduced himself. Yang im Qian Weiye, you can simply call me Weiye. Anai Yang slightly frowned. I apologize, Mr. Qian, but am not used to strangers calling me by my nickname. You can just use my full name. Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. She sharply turned towards Anai Yang, flashing her a warning look. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. The unworthy girl. She then laughed and said, Mr. Qian, please do not mind. Yang has always been straightforward. Why would I? Responded Qian Weiye. The young people these days have their own temperaments. After all, a lifeless fish isn't entertaining, is it? Glad you don't mind. Being as insightful as Anai Yang, she had already figured out Shangguan Furong's true intentions. She turned to her and asked, Aunt Furong, you mentioned there was an elderly person seriously ill here who needed my medical help. Is Mrs. Qian the person you were referring to? Hearing this, the smile on Shangguan Furong's face immediately froze. What is this insolent girl talking about? Mrs. Qian also looked displeased. As one grows old, they pay great heed to such matters. And here Anai Yang was implying that she was sick. This seemed nothing less than a curse. Anai Yang continued. Aunt Furong, didn't you tell me Mrs. Qian was seriously ill and bedridden? How come you're speechless now? Mrs. Qian's face grew angrier with each passing moment. How dared Shangguan Furong deceive her like this? Shut up. Shangguan Furong barked. When did I ever say such thing? If those weren't your words, then why would I bring this medicine box with me? Anai Yang glanced to the medicine box slung over her left shoulder. Shangguan Furong immediately tried to explain to Mrs. Qian. Mrs. Qian, let me explain, that's not the way things are. Before Mrs. Qian could speak, Qian Weiye intervened. Mrs. Zhao, there's no need for explanations. I understand. Mom, please bring out the item. Although Mrs. Qian wasn't pleased, when her son spoke, she had no choice but to comply. At least Anai Yang was pretty. As for her temper, it could be adjusted over time. Mrs. Qian took off the silver bracelet from her wrist and handed it to Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye handed it to Shangguan Furong. Mrs. Zhao, this bracelet is especially meant for my future wife. Upon hearing that, Shangguan Furong was over the moon. She never had expected that even after Anai Yang's display, the Qian family would still favor her. This was truly a fantastic turn of events. Shangguan Furong happily accepted the bracelet, smiling. Mr. Zhao, I guess our families will officially be related from now on. Anai Yang chuckled. I never thought Aunt Furong would consider remarriage. As your junior, I wish you and Mr. Qian a happy and fruitful life together. Those words turned everyone's faces sour. Especially Shangguan Furong and Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye was just in his 40s. And Anai Yang daringly referred to him as grandfather. Shangguan Furong was seething. Who was Qian Weiye? Did he think he deserved her? And Yang, the abominable girl, was clearly getting out of hand. Shangguan Furong went to Yang's side. What are you blabbering about? This bracelet is a gift from Mr. Qian to you. Considering the wealth and status of Mr. Qian, it's your good fortune that he's interested in you. Today, I will decide on your behalf that you will be engaged to Mr. Qian. Shangguan Furong was informing Yang, not negotiating. This marriage was beneficial for both the Shangguan and Zhao families. Yang should be grateful and had no right to object. You'll decide, Yang said with a faint smile. Since when did my affairs become your business? Be clear of your place. Just because I called you aunt, doesn't mean you get to act like an elder. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 661. Courting trouble at your doorstep. Letting you vent. _7 If it weren't for Shangguan Dehui, Yang wouldn't even bother with Shangguan Furong. You. How dare you talk to me like this? Shangguan Furong was so angry that her blood was boiling. She thrust the bracelet in front of Yang. Yang, let me tell you, you have to accept this bracelet today whether you want it or not. Otherwise, your mother can forget about ever entering the Shangguan family's mansion. Who does Yang think she is to look down on Qian Weiye? Yang sticks out her hand and takes the bracelet. Seeing this, Shangguan Furong felt relieved. She always knew that Yang, that greedy girl, would definitely not be able to resist Qian Weiye, the wealthy man. But before Shangguan Furong could react, the silver bracelet was slipped onto her wrist by Yang. Yang smiled. Wish you both a long and happy life together. I'm leaving now. With that said, Yang turned around and walked away. Shangguan Furong was furious. She tried to take off the bracelet, but it had already been tightened by Yang to the size of her wrist. At this point, it was impossible to remove it. The bracelet was supposed to be adjustable, but Yang must have tampered with it. Now the bracelet was stuck as if it was glued. No matter how hard she tried, it just wouldn't loosen. Shangguan Furong's hand was even scraped, but she couldn't remove the bracelet. She angrily looked at Qian Weiye. What are you standing there for? I've already promised her to you. Go get her back. Source web novel. Com, updated on new. This Qian Weiye is just as useless as Zhao Shen. Oh okay. Qian Weiye hurriedly chased after her. Yang had just walked out of the mansion's main entrance. Qian Weiye came from behind and pounced on her. Yang. Yang was on guard earlier. She stepped aside, causing Qian Weiye to miss and fall face first onto the ground. Yang, Shangguan Furong has already decided to betroth you to me. You are now my fiancé. You will marry me one day. You can't run away. Yang looked down at Qian Weiye. Mr. Qian, you're mistaken. It's me who betrothed Shangguan Furong to you. After all, Shangguan Furong is the one who accepted your family heirloom. Qian Weiye snorted. What makes you think you can decide Shangguan Furong's fate? Yang nodded slightly. That's a very good question. Then may I ask what gives Shangguan Furong the right to decide my fate? Mr. Zhao, be careful. I might report your family to the police station for trafficking innocent girls. With that said, Yang turned away and left. Qian Weiye angrily grabbed a handful of soil, rose, and walked back to the house. Shangguan Furong, are you playing games with me on purpose? Qian Weiye grabbed Shangguan Furong by the collar. He had heard that Qian Weiye was a bastard, even beating his own wife to death. How could Shangguan Furong not be scared? This was not going according to her plan. She had thought that Yang, just a village girl, would be easy to manipulate. She didn't expect that Yang had slipped out of her control. That Yang, that shameless girl. How ungrateful she was. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. Mr. Qian, we're family. Speak nicely, don't be rough. Whose family with you? Shangguan Furong put on a smile. Mr. Qian, you are about to marry my niece. Aren't we family? Don't worry, Mr. Qian. If Yang's mother wants to marry into the Shangguan family, she has to get past me. So, I definitely have a way to make Yang marry you. Are you for real? Qian Weiye narrowed his eyes. Of course it's true. Shangguan Furong nodded. I won't hide it from you. And Yang is just a country girl. Being able to marry you is a blessing she has acquired from countless past lives. Relax, leave this matter to me. Fine. Qian Weiye let go of Shangguan Furong's collar. I will trust you this one time. Shangguan Furong continued. Just wait for your bride. I assure you I'll get an Yang nice and obedient for you. Even more so than a kitten. I'll trust you this one time. Just as an Yang walked out of the Qian family mansion, a black car drove by her side. After about 10 seconds, the same car came back. The car window lowered, revealing a handsome face. Yang. Brother Mo. And Yang looked at Mo Qishan, somewhat surprised. Mo Qishan quickly got out of the car and opened the door. Yang, what are you doing here? And Yang looked around. Let's get in the car and talk. All right. Mo Qishan nodded in agreement and opened the car door for Yang. Once in the car, Yang said, I came here with Shangguan Furong. Mo Qishan paused for a moment. Usually, Yang would address Shangguan Furong as Aunt Furong. Why did she directly call out her name today? Yang was typically not a rude person. Could it be that Shangguan Furong did something to provoke her? Yang, what happened? Did Shangguan Furong bully you? Mo Qishan asked. Yang laughed. She could never bully me. It's just that something quite disgusting happened. Before coming to the Qian family, Yang had truly not thought that Shangguan Furong harbored such intentions. It was absolutely disgusting. Do tell. Mo Qishan asked, turning on the car's music system. Yang briefly explained the situation. She originally had no intention to hide this from Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan's eyes darkened, containing a hint of monstrous rage, emitting a dangerous aura. He had initially not wanted to stoop to Shangguan Furong's level. After all, she was just a scheming, malicious woman. But Shangguan Furong should not have involved Yang. Now he wouldn't be polite to her anymore. Mo Qishan's hand on the steering wheel tightened gradually, his knuckles turning slightly pale. If Yang were an ordinary girl, she might have already fallen victim to Qian Weiye's harassment. The mere thought of Yang nearly being bullied made Mo Qishan feel suffocated. He tried to suppress the anger welling up inside him, and spoke softly, Boss, I will avenge you for this. His voice was quiet and calm, but it carried an unsettling aura. Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Oh, really? No. Mo Qishan lightly pinched her nose. Yang leaned slightly towards him and hugged him. Brother Mo, you're so nice. Mo Qishan hugged her back. Thank you for the praise, boss. The hug only lasted for a few seconds. Yang let go of him, rolled up his sleeve to reveal his glittering robust wristwatch. It's already past 11. Brother Mo, should we go for lunch? Sure. Mo Qishan nodded. Where do you want to go? Yang continued. I suddenly feel like having stinky tofu and crossing the bridge noodles. Would you like to join? Sure. It's been a long time since I last had these. They went to a street of diners, had lunch, and then went to a movie. Finally, Mo Qishan drove Yang home. In the end, the luxury car stopped in front of a business building. Mo Qishan got out of the car. His originally smiling face was now solemn. His thin lips pressed together, and his eyes held a stormy hue, causing everyone around to feel anxious. What's wrong with the gentleman today? How terrifying. Mo Qishan made his way to the top floor and opened the door of his office. He sat on the leather boss chair, loosened his tie, and finally picked up the phone. Bring Qian Weiye to me. And tell Morris to prepare a dossier on the Zhao family and Shangguan Furong for me right away. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 662. The show begins. _1 Upon finishing his sentence, Mo Qishan hung up the phone. His face, usually stone cold, appeared to be enveloped by an impenetrable layer of ice. Shangguan Furong on the other end was still unaware of all that had taken place. After leaving the Zhao family, she had made her way to the Shangguan family residence. Shangguan Furong rushed into the living room, and upon not seeing her mother, asked one of the servants, "Where's Mum?" "The dowager is resting in her room," the servant replied. Shangguan Furong immediately began ascending the stairs, knocking on the door loudly. Mum! 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 A moment later, her mother appeared, wrapped in a robe. What's the rush all about? Shangguan Furong replied with a smile. I've brought good news, of course. And what good news could you possibly have? The dowager stepped aside to allow Shangguan Furong in the room. Shangguan Furong then said, Mum, I've found in Aiyang a great potential match. The dowager furrowed her brows slightly. What did you say? I said, I've found a good family that matches our status in the Shangguan family for in Aiyang, Shangguan Furong repeated. The Qian family holds notable prestige, and Qian Weiye is the head of the family. Source webnovel. Com, updated on NewZero. The dowager had no reason to object. As long as the dowager is on board, and Aiyang would have to agree. Yang already has a boyfriend. There's no need for you to meddle. The dowager expressed her displeasure. You're talking about Mo Qixin? A dismissive look flashed across Shangguan Furong's face. You're well aware of Mo Qixin's reputation. Mum, rest assured this time. I've truly found a good man for Aiyang. He's leagues better than Mo Qixin. Furong, did your brother's slap not wake you up the last time? The dowager looked at Shangguan Furong. Mention of the slap made Shangguan Furong's expression turn cold. She had not even held the incident against Shangguan Dehui. Yet their mother was bringing it up again. Wasn't this deliberately meant to humiliate her? Mum, I've been thinking of you all as my family. That's why I've been running around trying to find in Aiyang a good match. But all you do is dismiss my goodwill as worthless. The dowager sighed. Furong, if you truly cared about our family, you'd keep your nose out of where it doesn't belong. With her grandchildren all grown up and Shangguan Dehui having found his own happiness, all that the dowager wanted now was to live out her remaining years in peace. Why was Shangguan Furong always stirring up trouble, instead of living a quiet life? Why did she have to give birth to such a daughter? How is this meddling? I'm doing this for our family's good. Do you think I like meddling in Aiyang's affairs? If it weren't for the fact that Anai Tsuehua was marrying Shangguan Dehui, she wouldn't even spare Aiyang a glance. Lin Fong was so eager to marry into a rich family, yet she didn't introduce Qian Weiye to her. In the end, not only did she gain nothing, but she also stirred up a lot of trouble. What a thankless world this was. Shangguan Furong continued. Mum, the person I'm introducing to Aiyang is Qian Weiye. You're acquainted with Lady Qian too. And Qian Weiye agreed to this match. Now we're only waiting for your approval. As long as you give the go-ahead, there's nothing Aiyang can complain about. After all, she's just a country girl. Qian Weiye taking a liking to her is an unimaginable stroke of luck. What? The dowager turned pale with rage, her breathing labored. What did you say? Qian Weiye. Do you have any idea how old Qian Weiye is this year? Shangguan Furong, you've gone too far. What's wrong with Qian Weiye? Aren't they just a bit older than Aiyang? Aside from the age gap, how is Qian Weiye not superior to Mo Qixin? Mum, Aiyang isn't your biological granddaughter. Why are you protecting her so much? Given her background, marrying Qian Weiye would be a stroke of good fortune. Although Anai Tsuehua was going to marry Shangguan Dehui, the relationship between Aiyang and the Shangguan family was still not close. If it were Shangguan's biological granddaughter, who was to marry Qian Weiye, that would definitely not have been suitable. After all, whoever Qian Weiye marries essentially becomes his concubine. The dowager trembled all over. Shangguan Furong had gone too far. This was outrageous. She was already seething with anger after hearing these words. How would Aiyang react if she heard them? Shangguan Furong continued. Mum, you're not a fool. You know exactly what the pros and cons are. If Aiyang marries Qian Weiye, our Shangguan family are the ones who will benefit. If Aiyang were to be with Mo Qixin, everyone would only end up laughing at the Shangguan family's expense. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 663. The show begins. _2. Shut up. The old Mrs. Shangguan, unable to contain her anger, slapped Shangguan Furong squarely across the face. Caught off guard, Shangguan Furong's face immediately sported a visible handprint, and her words came to an abrupt halt. She hit her. Old Mrs. Shangguan actually hit her. A few days ago, it was her own brother that hit her. Now it's her own mother. Moreover, it was all because of An Yang. Misfortune. They, mother and daughter, were truly a curse. Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. A daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. You have no right to interfere in An Yang's affairs. Old Mrs. Shangguan really didn't want to speak so harshly to Shangguan Furong. After all, in her eyes, her children were all equal. But Shangguan Furong was just too excessive. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. 0 Mother. What did you say? Shangguan Furong looked at old Mrs. Shangguan in disbelief. I said a daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. Can't you understand me? Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. Before, your brother indulged you no matter how excessive you were, he wouldn't grudge you. But this time it's different. Furong, I hope you can recognize your position. You're 36 years old, not 16. Can you think about the consequences before you speak or act? Staring at old Mrs. Shangguan, Shangguan Furong looked as if she was seeing a stranger. 36 years. This was the second time old Mrs. Shangguan had spoken such harsh words to her. The other time was on the way back from Inai Kuihua's home. Everything I did was for the Shangguan family. Shangguan Furong cried hysterically. Fine. It's my fault. I'm meddling in others' business. Okay. From today on, I'll stop caring about these damn things, okay? Shangguan Furong picked up a vase and smashed it hard on the ground. Crash, shards flew in all directions. The maids cleaning downstairs were greatly startled by this sudden crash. Old Mrs. Shangguan watched Shangguan Furong's retreating figure, shaking her head helplessly. This child is getting more and more irresponsible. And the real hardships are yet to come. Shangguan Furong, covering her left face, made her way downstairs. The passing servant, seeing her like this, dared not to approach and ask what happened. Just then, Shangguan Shi returned from outside. Aunt, what happened to you? Get out. Shangguan Furong, still enraged, pushed Shangguan Shi away. Caught off guard, Shangguan Shi was pushed to the ground, hitting her head on the corner of a table. Miss, are you all right? The servants rushed over and helped Shangguan Shi up. I'm fine. Shangguan Shi, supported by the servant, stood up and rubbed her nape. What happened to my aunt? The servant pointed to the ceiling and whispered. It seems like there was some disagreement between the miss and old madam. Huh. Shangguan Shi frowned slightly, ignoring her headache. She ran upstairs immediately. Upstairs, old Mrs. Shangguan sat on the sofa, her face filled with worry. She was reflecting on herself. It was she who had spoiled Shangguan Furong. It was she who hadn't taught Shangguan Furong well. Grandma. Shangguan Shi sat down next to old Mrs. Shangguan. Xiaoxi. A forced smile appeared on old Mrs. Shangguan's face. Shangguan Shi tried to break the news gently. Grandma, I just saw my aunt leaving in tears. What happened between you two? Old Mrs. Shangguan sighed, recounted the whole story to Shangguan Shi. Hearing this, Shangguan Shi was shocked. It's horrifying. What kind of person is Qian Weiya? A scumbag who even beat his wife to death. What Shangguan Furong did was like pushing Inai Yang into a flaming pit. How could my aunt do such a thing? Shangguan Shi frowned. Yang must be very angry now. We must not let my aunt affect Aunt Daya and Dad's relationship. After all, it was not easy for Dad and Aunt Daya to finally be together. Exactly. Old Mrs. Shangguan agreed. Xiaoxi, it's good that you are back. Let's go to Aunt Daya's house together and explain everything to Aunt Daya and Yang properly. Okay. Shangguan Shi nodded. Under the cover of night, they took a car to the Inai family home. When they arrived, the Inai family was having their meal. The whole family were gathered around the table, laughing and dining, creating a harmonious atmosphere. Aunt Daya, Aunt Inai, Yang. Shangguan Shi greeted them politely. Grandma, Sister Xiaoxi, why are you here? Inai Yang stood up in surprise. Yang, we the Shangguan family, have wronged you. Old Mrs. Shangguan walked over, holding Inai Yang's hand with an apologetic face. We made you suffer such injustice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 664. The show begins. _3. What's going on? Enai Tsuehua and Enai Qinggui were puzzled. Enai Yang had started cooking as soon as they got home, and hadn't had time to tell Enai Tsuehua about it yet. The Shangguan matriarch sighed. It's all my fault for not raising my daughter right. She then recounted the entire incident. On hearing this, the faces of Enai Tsuehua and Enai Qinggui darkened. Hadn't Shangguan Furong overstepped her bounds? She had even set her sights on Enai Yang. The one consolation was that the matriarch of the Shangguan family was reasonable. If the Shangguan matriarch and Shangguan Furong were of the same breed, then the Shangguan family would be no different from a den of beasts. The Shangguan matriarch continued. It's my fault for not raising my daughter properly. Rest assured, Enai Yang, I will make Furong apologize to you personally. You deserve an explanation. Since the Shangguan matriarch was so reasonable, Enai Yang naturally wouldn't be petty. After all, the matriarch hadn't been aware of this situation before. If the situation had been encouraged by the Shangguan matriarch herself, then Enai Yang would never forgive her. All in all, this matter had nothing to do with the Shangguan matriarch. As long as Aunt Furong sincerely apologizes and changes her ways, we can pretend like nothing happened. However, if she keeps on the same course, don't blame me for being disrespectful. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on new. These last words seem to be a polite but firm warning. Although Enai Yang had decided not to push the matter further, she was not the type to suffer in silence. The Shangguan matriarch looked at Enai Yang with admiration in her eyes. This child was well raised by Enai Tsuehua. Deep down, she had a sense of indomitable spirit, without any arrogance. And she didn't take unfair advantage of the situation, despite having the upper hand. The Shangguan matriarch was certain that in the not-too-distant future, Enai Yang would surely achieve great things. Don't worry, Enai Yang, even if you don't do anything, I will take matters into my own hands to clean up the Shangguan family, she said. After finishing the topic, the Shangguan matriarch asked to leave. Enai Tsuehua said, Aunt, it's late already. If you and Xiaoxi don't mind that we've already started eating, why don't you stay and have dinner with us? Shangguan, she responded excitedly. Sounds great, Aunt Daya. I love the food at your house. She had been worried that Enai Tsuehua might take her anger out on them, because of Shangguan Furong's behavior. However, it seemed that Enai Tsuehua was not the unreasonable type. The Shangguan matriarch replied modestly, Daya, we appreciate your hospitality. Enai Tsuehua brought in 2 new sets of bowls and chopsticks. We're all family, there's no need for you to be so polite, Aunt. Enai Yang silently stood up, planning to head into the kitchen to whip up a couple more dishes. She had prepared just enough food for 3 adults and 1 child, but now with 2 more people, they would inevitably come up short. Enai Yang, where are you off to? Shangguan, she quickly noticed Enai Yang's movements. Enai Yang replied, I'm going to cook a few more dishes. Can I come with you? Shangguan, she put down her chopsticks. This way I could pick up a few tricks. Sure. Enai Yang nodded. They both headed to the kitchen. Shangguan, she learned quite a few helpful cooking tips by following Enai Yang around. Qian Weiye was led to the top floor of a business building. A figure was seated on the boss chair with his back to him, revealing only an imposing silhouette. Even just the silhouette was enough to strike fear into anyone who saw it. This was an instinctive fear. After all, this man was the famous Mr. Mog. Qian Weiye's hands were shaking as he took a handkerchief out of his pocket. He was wiping his forehead, but sweat just kept pouring out, like an endlessly proliferating weed. Mr. Qian, please sign this. Morris placed a document on the desk in front of Qian Weiye. Reading what was on that document, Qian Weiye's knees gave out, and he landed on the floor. Mr. Mog, I beg you, please spare me and the Qian family. He had no idea how he had offended this influential figure. With him in Mr. Mog's sights, it seemed that the Qian family was in trouble. Do you know why you offended Mr. Mog? Morris squatted down and patted Qian Weiye's face lightly. I don't know. Because you offended someone you should never have offended. Morris explained in fluent Chinese. You're so lowly, yet you dare to covet things above your station. You aspire to possess our lattice attention? Lady Mog. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 665. The show begins. _4. This left Qian Weiye even more stunned. I haven't even seen Mrs. Mog. How could I be a toad trying to eat swan meat? Mr. Mog, you must see clearly. This is a disaster out of nowhere. Qian Weiye felt he was even more wrong than Do Yi. Think about it again, Morris said, increasing the force in his hand. Qian Weiye was shaking all over. He thought to himself, who on earth was Mrs. Mog? Qian Weiye lost his wife many years ago. He couldn't help but attract other women in his everyday life, but most of them were ordinary girls who he pacified very well afterward. Could it be? Qian Weiye felt a chill in his heart. Wouldn't the so-called Mrs. Mog be an Aiyang? An Aiyang was beautiful. Qian Weiye has seen countless women, but never seen such a distinctive one. It was normal for Mr. Mog to become her suitor? Could it really be her? Qian Weiye gulped. The more he thought about it, the more frightened he became. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. That Shangguan Furong really ruined him. Mr. Mog, I am truly sorry. I have no eye for treasure. I am a toad who wants to eat swan meat. I didn't know an Aiyang was your wife. Please let me go. I promise this will never happen again. Qian Weiye was very repentant about his behavior, crying bitterly. You want a next time? A cold voice came from the front as if it could freeze one's flesh and blood. It seems the real Mrs. Mog is indeed an Aiyang. I didn't guess it wrong. Qian Weiye froze in fear, and immediately started slapping his face. No. Mr. Mog, I was wrong. I didn't mean that. I'm just a worthless creature. I'm a beast. Please don't stoop to my level. In no time at all, Qian Weiye had slapped himself into a pig's face. His face was full of handprints. The man turned his back to him and extended his hand to his assistant. Realizing, the assistant immediately handed him a cigar and a lighter. Click. The sound of the lighter echoed in the air, and smoke rose in front of him, as if a layer of snow had been laid around him. Qian Weiye crawled to him, knelt on the ground, and mumbled unclearly. Mr. Mog, please forgive this beast. This beast will never dare again. The man withdrew his disgusted foot, took a slow puff of smoke. Go and apologize to Yang Yang. Ask her to forgive you. Okay. Qian Weiye immediately got up from the ground and ran outside. Only then did the man turn his head, revealing a sharp-featured face, a cigar hanging at the corner of his thin lips, looking at Morris by his side. Morris quickly understood, and turned to follow Qian Weiye. Morris, who had been following him for a long time, naturally understood what he meant. If Qian Weiye had turned his head back at that moment, he would have realized that the renowned Mr. Mog was actually despised by everyone. Mo Qishan then reached out to Marcus. Where are the files on the Zhao family and Shangguan Furong? Here, answered Marcus respectfully, handing over the files. How handsome the master looks when he's furious for his woman. Marcus was extremely excited. Mo Qishan took the files and flipped through a few pages. Marcus then said, Last night, Shangguan Furong returned to the Shangguan family. What was the Shangguan family's reaction? Mo Qishan asked. Marcus thought for a while, then said, Old Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Furong had a big argument. Shangguan Furong was even slapped across the face. In the end, old Madame Shangguan personally went to Miss Nis' house. It was fortunate that Madame Shangguan was wise. If Madame Shangguan was the same as Shangguan Furong, those who would be unlucky this time would not be limited to just Shangguan Furong and Qian Weiye. Upon hearing this, Mo Qishan's previously tight face relaxed a bit. Marcus then asked, Sir, do you want me to invite Shangguan Furong over? No need. Mo Qishan closed the files. Come closer. Marcus walked over to Mo Qishan and bent down. Mo Qishan whispered something to him, and Marcus nodded. Okay, sir, I have it. This tactic of Mo Qishan, using someone's own methods against them, was absolutely ruthless. Shangguan Furong was about to face bad luck now. In Ai family's house. Just as Ai Yang opened the gate, ready to go out, an unknown figure popped up. Grandma. Ai Yang slightly frowned. This man, whose face is swollen like a pig's head. Does she know him? And he is calling her grandma. Does she look that old? Grandma, it's me. It's Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye spoke again. And I Yang smiled lightly. It seems you didn't take my words to heart yesterday. So, do you want to try the taste of being hit with an 812 again? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 666. The show begins. _5. No, no, no. Qian Weiye shook his head immediately, knelt on the ground with a thud, picked up a thick vine from the ground and held it in his hand. Granny, I'm here to apologize. Sorry, Granny. I was blind before, a toad craving after swan meat. I will never dare to do it again. I beg your mercy, please spare me this time. And I Yang slightly squints her eyes. What is happening? Why did Qian Weiye change his behavior? Could it be Mo Kishin's work? Interesting. And I Yang picked up the vine with a faint smile. In fact, Qian Weiye is not entirely to blame for this. After all, it was Shengguan Furong who took the initiative. By law, Qian Weiye can be considered an accomplice at most. Qian Weiye, you haven't been shy of forcing yourself on innocent girls in the past, have you? No, no. Qian Weiye shook his head immediately. I swear, Granny, I have never forced anyone. All those women were with me voluntarily. And I Yang didn't say much else. She just broke the vine she had been holding in her hand with a simple snap. Qian Weiye, if you ever do anything disgraceful in the future, this broken vine will be your fate. Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Omicron. The vine is half an arm thick and quite resilient. It would be impossible for an ordinary person to break it with one hand. Qian Weiye's moral compass was reset again. He was so scared he began to kowtow. I will never do it again. Granny, I promise, I will never do it again. Get out. And I Yang's red lips spoke lightly. Thank you, Granny, for your mercy. I'm leaving now. Qian Weiye seemed like he had received amnesty, picked up his knee, curled up into a ball and rolled away. And I Yang. Just then an Aiquihua's voice came from inside the house. Yang, who is it outside? And I Yang responded. Just a passerby asking for directions. Zhao family. Shengguan Furong has been in an extremely bad mood these days. If Shengguan Dehui had been with Lin Fong from the beginning, none of this would have happened. It's all an Aiquihua's fault. All her fault. Seeing Shengguan Furong in such a bad mood, both the old lady of the Zhao family and Zhao Shen were treading on eggshells around her, fearing they might add fuel to the fire. Just then, Lin Fong walked in from outside. She first greeted the old lady and Zhao Shen, and then came upstairs. Furong. After her active approach last time, their friendship has grown rapidly. Now she was free to come and go in the Zhao family's house. With her gentle character, even the servants of the Shengguan family liked her. Shengguan Furong, being a proud person, ignored Lin Fong, especially since she had been annoyed recently. Why are you here? Lin Fong did not get upset, and said with a smile, Furong, I came to give you a present. What present? Shengguan Furong finally looked at Lin Fong with a hint of interest. This for you. Lin Fong took a black card out of her bag and handed it to Shengguan Furong. The black card was pitch black, with gold lines as decoration on the edges, and the 4 characters, National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance, on the left side. It looked very upscale and classy. What is this? Shengguan Furong asked. This is a membership card of National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance. Lin Fong continued. Furong, haven't you always wanted their membership card? This one is for you. The National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance membership card costs 888 yuan each. Obviously Lin Fong couldn't afford one, not to mention, it was limited edition. This black card was given to her by a mysterious person who claimed to want to help her. Is this really a membership card from National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance? Shengguan Furong looked at Lin Fong in surprise. Lin Fong nodded. Furong, given our relationship, do you think I would lie to you? Thank you then. Shengguan Furong suppressed the excitement in her heart. She was someone who had seen big scenes. How could she just show her emotions so easily? But she was really excited. With the National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrances membership card, she could now take that group of card-playing friends to their third floor for a surprise. By then, they will be so envious of her. Seeing Shangguan Furong like this, Lin Feng smirked, and then said, Furong, I have things to do at home. I won't bother you anymore. Wait a moment. Shangguan Furong called out to Lin Feng. What's the matter? Lin Feng turned around to look at Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong opened a jewelry box and casually pulled out a necklace. I bought this necklace a long time ago and only wore it once. Now I'm giving it to you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 667. The show begins. _6. Lin Feng declined. Furong, I can't accept it. I only gifted you the membership card because I felt we had a strong connection. Not because I'm after your stuff. Just take it. Shangguan Furong was not one to be petty. Helplessly, Lin Feng accepted it. After Lin Feng left, Shangguan Furong also departed the Zhao household. With Shangguan Furong's departure, the atmosphere in the Zhao house instantly lightened. The smile had returned to Grandma Zhao's face. Lin Feng, who had previously left, returned moments later. This time, she held a thermos to her hand. Grandma, I heard you often have headaches. I made you some gastrodia chicken soup specially. It's very good for the head. Lin Feng removed the lid from the thermos and ladled out a bowl of soup for Grandma Zhao. Thank you, Xiaolin. The old lady accepted the soup with a face full of smiles. As the matriarch of the Zhao family, was she lacking in chicken soup? What she lacked was a gesture of kindness. Shangguan Furong had never once shown such filial piety. Lin Feng was really wonderful. She was kind, gentle, and understanding. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New Omicron. Omicron WHY hadn't Zhaoshan met such a good person? Grandma Furong and I are good friends. Making you a bowl of soup is no big deal. I just hope you don't mind, Lin Feng said. Look at you talking like that. I'm more than happy to have it. Why would I mind? Grandma Zhao drained the bowl of soup in one gulp. The taste of the gastrodia was slightly bitter, so Lin Feng promptly handed over a piece of honey loquat. Grandma Zhao took it, laughing. Xiaolin, you're a really thoughtful child. Lin Feng replied. Maybe because I'm used to being around children a lot. I've got used to it. Grandma Zhao nodded approvingly. Not long after, Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, the two siblings, arrived home from school. Zijuan Ziqing. Auntie Lin Feng. The siblings immediately rushed over to greet her. They seemed more excited to see her than their own mother. Shangguan Furong was often harsh to others, including her own children. This led to the siblings being quite fearful of Shangguan Furong and not very close to her. Lin Feng then opened the second layer of her lunchbox. Zijuan Ziqing, didn't you two say last time that you liked Auntie's dumplings? I specially made some for you today. Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, who were 10 and 8 years old, respectively, really relished treats. Thank you, Auntie Lin Feng. The siblings immediately started wolfing down the dumplings. The dumplings were delicious. Despite them being only minced pork and leek dumplings, they were irresistible. Plus, they were beautifully made. Auntie Lin Feng, you're so amazing. With a modest smile, Lin Feng said. It's just a plate of dumplings. If you two like it, I can make them more often and bring them over to you. Really? The siblings looked at her, stunned. Of course. Lin Feng nodded. Zhao Ziqing said. Auntie Lin Feng, I wish you were our mother, so my brother and I could have these delicious dumplings every day. Zhao Zijuan, sensing this comment might be inappropriate, pulled at Zhao Ziqing's sleeve. Zhao Ziqing asked, Brother, why are you pulling me? I didn't say anything wrong. Our mother doesn't even like us. We'd be better off with Auntie Lin Feng being our mother. Zhao Zijuan was 2 years older than Zhao Ziqing and more sensible. Even though their mother wasn't very attentive to them, a mother is, after all, a mother. The speaker may not mean it, but the listener may take it to heart. A flash of light glowed in Grandma Zhao's eyes. Lin Feng approached. Ziqing, you can't just say whatever you want. If your mother heard it, she will be heartbroken. Let her be heartbroken. Zhao Ziqing responded nonchalantly. Lin Feng continued. Promise, Auntie, you won't say such things anymore, otherwise Auntie won't come to see you too. Perhaps the last sentence scared Zhao Ziqing, who nodded and said, Okay, I won't say it. In her heart, however, she truly wished that Lin Feng was her mother. Shangguan Furong invited Jia Zhenjin, Zhao Yiyun, and Su Manlin to Gus Tianxiang. The four women met at the entrance of Gus Tianxiang. Jia Zhenjin asked, Furong, don't tell me you really have a membership card for Gus Tianxiang? Of course. Shangguan Furong took out the black card and flaunted it. See, isn't this it? Jia Zhenjin took the black card while the others immediately huddled around to take a look. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 668. The show begins. _7 Zhao Yiyun said. I've seen the Gus Tianxiang membership card from my friend. It's exactly the same as this one. My gosh. Furong, you're just too amazing. Shangguan Furong with a smile said. Isn't it just a card? It's no big deal to me. This membership card perfectly satisfied Shangguan Furong's vanity. She was used to being dominant at home, so she wanted to take control no matter the occasion. Jia Zhenjin sighed. As I thought, we all really have to rely on Furong. Exactly, Furong is indeed amazing. Shangguan Furong, who had been depressed for several days, also began to cheer up at this moment. With the membership card, they were able to ascend to the third floor smoothly without queuing. The decoration on the third floor completely stunned the four of them. It was not until they reached the third floor that they realized there was a special menu for VIP customers. The dishes and desserts on the menu were all new to them, such as mango pudding, fruit salad, and such. Shangguan Furong ordered a table full of dishes and desserts with an indomitable spirit. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. The four of them spent over 5 hours on the third floor. In the middle, they even played a game of mahjong before leaving the third floor. Just as they left their private room, Shangguan Furong saw a familiar figure. Was that Yang? What was Yang doing, wiping a vase? Wasn't she selling noodles? How did she end up at Gus Tianxiang doing menial work? Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes, looked around, and already had an answer in her heart. Anyone who could come to the third floor of Gus Tianxiang wouldn't be of low status. Yang really did have grand ambitions. She turned down the introduction to Qian Weiye. Yet she fawningly did odd jobs at Gus Tianxiang. She's really shameless. Furong, what are you looking at? Jia Zhenjin curiously looked at Shangguan Furong. Nothing. Shangguan Furong withdrew her gaze, just having a look. Oh, Jia Zhenjin nodded. Let's go then. The group headed downstairs together. Gus Tianxiang was always full of guests every day, so Yang didn't notice Shangguan Furong. After she finished wiping the vase, she handed the rag to a waiter beside her and said, The most taboo thing in the catering industry is sanitation problems. From now on, this vase should be cleaned daily. The standard is that no dust can be seen when it is wiped with a white cloth. All right, I know. The waiter behind her nodded. Then Yang found Gulanji. Even though Gulanji was much older than Yang in terms of age, she truly admired Yang. This young, slender girl was just too impressive. At first, she and everyone else didn't think highly of Gus Tianxiang's future. She only agreed to work here because of the high salary of more than 300 yuan. She never expected that Gus Tianxiang's business would become so booming someday. It became the target of imitation for everyone in the catering industry. Working here gave her a sense of superiority. Yang said, Sister Lanji, from now on, there should be a sanitary inspection in the restaurant every 3 days. Then we will rate them as ABC. A class will be rewarded 30 yuan each, B class 10 yuan each, and C class will be rewarded 1 yuan. The restaurant had 3 floors which were divided into 3 zones, A, B, and C. The sanitation conditions of these 3 zones could be compared with each other. As the saying goes, no reward, no motivation. A restaurant should not ignore sanitation just because the food and service are good and business is booming. Yang's standard is, there is no best, only better. Gulanji had no objections to Yang's proposal. She nodded and said, All right, Yang, I got it. Yang, you have a call. A waiter hurried over. In the restaurant, everyone called Yang. Originally, everyone used to call her boss. But they felt that calling her boss wasn't nice, and calling her and I was too stiff, so they asked everyone to call her Yang Yang instead. All right. And Yang went over to answer the phone. Yang Yang. The person on the other end of the line was Tsuehua. Mom, what's the matter? And Yang asked. And Tsuehua continued. Yang Yang, Annie and Emily are here. Can you come home now? All right. And Yang hung up the phone, said a word to Gulanji, and went home. It was already cold in November. And Yang put on a purple coat as she walked along. The coat was of a slim fit design, and there were 2 pearls for embellishment on the cuffs. And Yang hurried out, not noticing that one of the pearls slid off the cuff. A man wearing an old-fashioned gown passed by her. The pearl happened to roll to the man's feet. The man squatted down, picked up the pearl, and looked back. The road outside was bustling with people, and her figure was no longer seen. What are you looking at, Mr. Du? Asked Wang Ziki. Mr. Du coughed lightly with his fist against his lips. Nothing. The 2 men walked inside. Do you have a membership card? A waiter dressed in Hanfu immediately greeted them. Membership card? Wang Ziki furrowed his brows in confusion. The waiter politely said, all the seats are taken inside. If you don't have a membership card, please follow me to wait for meal. What is a membership card? Mr. Du asked softly. Mr. Du seemed like a character who walked out of an old movie. He was thin, wearing an old-fashioned gown. His shoes were cloth, and despite his ordinary attire and gentle brows and eyes, he gave off an impression that he was no ordinary man. The waiter explained the membership card to Mr. Du in great detail. Can we also apply for one? Mr. Du inquired next. I'm really sorry, there are no extra spots for membership cards right now. The waiter looked apologetic. What did you say? Wang Ziki frowned slightly and stepped forward. Perhaps having stayed in Shanghai for a long time, Wang Ziki still carried a certain air of lawlessness. In Shanghai, no one dared to reject Mr. Du like this, who treated Mr. Du with anything but respect. Ziki. Mr. Du spoke softly. Mr. Du. Wang Ziki toned down his aggressiveness somewhat. Let's go over there and wait. The waiter breathed a sigh of relief. Please follow me. The 2 of them went to the waiting area. Mr. Du was elegantly sipping tea. Wang Ziki walked from the lobby to the inner hall, and then back to Mr. Du. Mr. Du, I don't think this is 4th Miss style. Mr. Du laughed lightly. She's not that clever. He then asked, how's the investigation going? When can we find the person? Wang Ziki showed a troubled expression. Mr. Du, this matter can't be rushed. The smile on Mr. Du's face slowly faded. After a while he asked again. Is it really that hard to find a person? His voice was still gentle, but it carried an oppressive feeling. Wang Ziki steeled himself and said, Mr. Du, we are in Beijing. Don't we even have a clue? Mr. Du continued to ask. Wang Ziki shook his head. Mr. Du drained the cup of tea, then said, don't waste manpower on 4th Miss anymore. Focus on finding her in the future. So, we're just going to ignore 4th Miss? Wang Ziki asked. If she wants to go mad, let her have a proper fit. Mr. Du put the teacup on the table, his face full of anger. It's unclear whether he's annoyed at the incompetent Wang Ziki, or the unrestrained 4th Mississippi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 669. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. _1 Master Du appears to be as gentle as jade on the surface, but only Wang Ziki knows what kind of soul is hidden beneath this gentle demeanor. This time, 4th Miss is probably not in for anything good. Master Du continued. From this month on, no one is allowed to remit money to 4th Mississippi. All right. Wang Ziki nodded. The Ni family residence. As Ni Yang opened the courtyard door, she was immediately embraced warmly by Emily. Ni Yang. Emily. After not seeing each other for several months, Emily seemed like a completely different person. Her skin was fair and rosy, and the freckles on her nose had disappeared completely. All thanks to the miraculous effects of ice crystal jade skin. Emily was immensely grateful for having met Ni Yang on Shisua Island in Miami. If it wasn't for Ni Yang, she would never have discovered how beautiful she could be. Source Web Novel. Com. Updated on N0New0. Excitedly, Emily hugged Ni Yang. A moment later, Ni Yang released Emily, and they walked into the living room. Emily said, Ni Yang, your home and courtyard are decorated so beautifully. She had always imagined China as a very backward country. It should be chaotic and dirty. But after coming to China, Emily discovered that it is a country with a very rich cultural heritage, completely different from what she had imagined. Ni Yang smiled and said, Thank you for the compliment. Aunt Annie and Ni Tsuehua were chatting on the sofa in the living room. Through long-term learning, Ni Kuihua's oral English skills were now excellent, and there were no obstacles in her communication with Annie. After chatting for a while, Annie revealed her intentions. Ni Yang, I want to become an agent for your product and become the overseas distributor for Ice Crystal Jade Skin. I want more people in Country M to be able to use Ice Crystal Jade Skin. The effects of Ice Crystal Jade Skin are truly excellent. The few dozen products Annie took back last time sold out within a month. Because more and more people were coming to ask Annie to buy Ice Crystal Jade Skin, that's why Annie decided to visit China again. At the same time, this decision was made after careful consideration. Ice Crystal Jade Skin is a rare, good product that will be popular in the future. In order to prevent someone else from taking the opportunity first, she wanted to become the first agent in Country M. She believed that her judgment would not be mistaken. Hearing this, Ni Yang was somewhat surprised. She hadn't expected that Annie wanted to be the agent for Ice Crystal Jade Skin in such a short period of time. Aunt Annie, are you really sure about this? This is the contract, take a look. Annie took out the contract from her bag. There were 4 copies of the contract. 2 in English and 2 in Chinese. Ni Yang picked up the contract and while skimming through it, she circled the problematic parts. Aunt Annie, I think these 4 parts need to be revised. Please take a look. Ni Yang passed the revised contract to Annie. Annie took the contract and found that the 4 points Ni Yang had circled seemed fine at first glance, but on closer inspection, she discovered that there were significant loopholes in these areas. Annie looked at Ni Yang. A new layer of admiration visible in her eyes. Ni Yang was about the same age as Emily. Emily couldn't even understand the contract, but Ni Yang could shoulder large responsibilities all by herself. That is truly impressive. All right. Annie nodded and continued. Then these 4 areas will be modified as you suggested. Let's discuss the price issue next. As for the price, I will give you this discount. Ni Yang wrote a discount on a piece of paper. The price she gave was 70% of the normal retail price. The export duties and other transportation costs would be borne by Annie herself. Ni Yang would only be responsible for supplying the products. After calculating this way, the price of each product needs to be 40% higher than the domestic price in order for the agent to make a profit. In other words, if the whitening moisturizer was sold for 230 yuan domestically, it would have to be sold for 322 yuan abroad. However, this was normal. All things exported from foreign countries to China were sold at several times the original price. Isn't it time for the Chinese to have a moment of pride? After quickly calculating the exact price in her heart, Annie said, Okay, this price is acceptable. Additionally, I have another request. Ni Yang continued, this needs to be added to the contract. You say. Ni Yang said, as Ice Crystal Jade Skin is a product of China, once it arrives in Country M, it is not allowed to change its packaging, nationality, or founder. Furthermore, no additional trademark may be registered to overshadow it. It can only be Ice Crystal Jade Skin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 670, Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _2. Back in the 1980s, the Chinese did not have much awareness of copyright. This led to many goods being exported from China, repackaged in foreign countries, and then sold as local products. The toilet seat news of the later era is an example. The toilet seats from our country that were so popular among the Chinese were actually made in China. Ni Yang, having returned from the future, was determined to prevent all such problems. She wanted to avoid any future disputes. Annie nodded. "And Young, you've thought this through thoroughly." "She's incredibly shrewd. Negotiating with her is like playing a game of chess." She was clearly just a teenager, but her considerations were more thorough than an adult's. It was difficult to imagine the capacity of her brain. And Young continued. "Oh, there's one more thing. Some products of the Ice Skin Jade Flesh line are limited editions. In order to avoid market disturbances in M country, I hope you follow the same practice. General limited editions should be capped at 60 sets per month, and the Supreme edition only 20 sets. It should be purchased by showing an ID card, limiting 1 set per person per month. Actually, limited edition products are also a marketing strategy. After all, rarity is precious. Only when it becomes expensive will people cherish it." Source: web novel. Com, updated on N0 New. Anai nodded, indicating no objections. And Young smiled. "If Aunt Annie agrees to all the points I've made, we can sign the contract as soon as it's drafted." And Young, hey, race to a successful partnership. Annie extended her right hand towards Young. To a successful partnership. And Young shook her hand warmly. After successfully concluding negotiations, Annie proposed to leave. And Young smilingly said, "Aunt Annie, you are not familiar with China. If you don't mind, you can stay over tonight, and I can take Emily around tomorrow." When they were in M country, Young had promised Emily she'd show her around. Since they've already moved into their new house, there was no need to worry about not having enough rooms. On hearing this, Emily jumped up and down in excitement. Yes, yes. She liked Young very much, and wished she could be with Young every day. Annie said. "Then, we'll take you up on your kind offer." In the afternoon, Young took Emily for a walk around the village. The village was bustling because a new road was being built. The villagers were intrigued by the foreign girl. Young, who is this foreign girl? What's her name? Which country is she from? How old is she? Emily, not understanding Chinese, curiously looked at Young. Young first translated the villagers' questions into English, then told them. "Her name is Emily. She's a good friend I met in M country. She's 18 years old." "Oh, so her name is Lily. I think calling her Lily sounds better, just like Yang's name. This Lily is good-looking, just like a doll on TV." The fashionable name of Emily was instantly transformed into a rustic, Lily by the villagers. Oddly enough, it sounded quite nice. "What are they saying?" Emily looked at Young. Young grinned and replied, "They are all saying that they like you a lot, and that you look pretty, like a doll." "Really?" Emily looked at Young, absolutely thrilled. "Really?" Young nodded. Emily immediately bowed to the villagers, stuttering in Mandarin. "Think, like you. You're welcome, you're welcome." As they left the construction site, Emily remarked, Young, the Chinese people are so friendly." Young nodded. "Yes, we Chinese are really friendly." The two of them arrived at the foot of the mountain. In November, most of the plants had withered, but a special kind of plant on the mountain was blooming against the wind. From a distance, the slope was carpeted in bright red, almost giving the illusion of early spring. These were the red camellia flowers. "Wow, it's so beautiful here," Emily proposed. Young, can we go to the mountain and pick some flowers? M country, due to its terrain and climate, has more rainforests and islands, and hardly any small scenic mountains like in China. Just like there are very few rainforests in China. Sure. Young nodded. This was Emily's first visit to China, and her first time climbing a mountain. She was exceptionally excited. Jinghua Mountain is a rocky mountain. There are not many large trees, mostly shrubbery and small pine trees. And of course the camellia flowers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 671. Shengguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _3. Emily picks a camellia flower and tucks it behind her ear. Young, do I look good like this? Beautiful. Young nods. You should wear one too. Emily snaps off a camellia and fastens it to Yang's ear. And Young, you look gorgeous too. Camellia, already a bright and conspicuous flower, now pinned to Yang's ear, appears somewhat dimmed and lackluster. Perhaps this is what is meant by the phrase, beauty pales before her. Before long, Emily gathers a handful of camellia flowers. And Young, what's this? Emily has somehow managed to pluck a handful of hawthorn fruits. This is hawthorn. It's not too bad, give it a try, and Young suggests. Jinghua Mountain is rich in resources, not only given to camellia flowers but also to hawthorn fruits. The small hawthorns grow very delicately, resembling miniature apples. Can I eat this? Emily looks at Young with surprise. Young nods. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Emily bites timidly into a hawthorn. The sour and sweet flavors explode on her tongue. Yum! I've never tasted this back in country. Young smiles. Hawthorns can not only be eaten directly but can also be made into candied hawthorn, hawthorn slices and hawthorn cakes. Candied hawthorn especially, once processed, can taste delicious. Really? Emily is somewhat surprised. Of course it's true. Emily grabs Yang's hand. Young, there are plenty more hawthorn fruits here. Shall we pick more and make something tasty out of them? Sure. Young nods slightly. The hawthorn tree is not tall, but its branches are fully adorned with bright red hawthorn fruits. In no time, they filled a whole bag with them. After picking the hawthorns, Young spots a tall bamboo citrus tree. Its branches laden with bright yellow bamboo citrus. Bamboo citrus, also known as wooden bamboo. Though it tastes sour and sweet like hawthorn, its flavor is completely unique. Seeing Young looking up at the bamboo citrus tree, Emily curiously asks, Young, can we eat these too? The mountain is so much fun. Not only are the views fantastic, but there are so many treats to eat. Young nods. Yeah, you can eat them. Wanna try? Yes. Emily nods eagerly. Young then says, "Oh, climb up and pick some, and you can catch them below." Can you really climb this tall tree? Emily was skeptical. Yes. Young, though wearing a cheongsam, has no problem scaling the tree. She makes it to the top in just a few quick movements, leaving Emily staring in surprise. Young, you're amazing. Picking them one by one would take too long, so Young, from her perch in the tree, gently shakes the branches. Like rain, the ripe bamboo citrus fall to the ground. That's enough. Emily below doesn't know which ones to pick up. Young slowly descends from the tree, picks a yellow bamboo citrus from the ground, wipes it carelessly on her coat, and takes a bite. The casual gesture exudes a kind of unruly charm, just like a female general on the battlefield, clad in bright armor. So cool. The ripe bamboo citrus is not sour at all. It's soft and sweet, much more delicious than the bamboo citrus Young used to buy from the supermarket in her later life. Emily, imitating Young, bites into a bamboo citrus and exclaims, "This is even better than the hawthorn." The two of them pick plenty more bamboo citrus fruits. Combined with their earlier haul of camellia flowers and hawthorns, they returned home loaded with goodies. By the time they got home, it was already past 5 in the afternoon. Young begins preparing dinner. Tsuehua helps her with the preparations. Annie takes care of little Yin. Emily plays with Duo in the courtyard. Duo, the mischievous bird, loves playing with Emily. That night, Young prepares a feast. There's sour fish, mouth-watering roasted chicken, tangy pickled chicken feet, braised pork belly, shrimp and vermicelli soup, and a breast-enhancing pig's feet stew with kelp. The beverage is fresh squeezed pomegranate juice. The bright red pomegranate juice, poured into transparent wine glasses, is as alluring as wine. When Chingue arrives home, the dishes have just been laid out on the table. Young takes the initiative to introduce Annie and Emily to Chingue. Although Annie had visited once before, she returned to her country the same day and never met Chingue. "Mrs. Enai, this is Annie and this is Annie's daughter Emily." Young goes on. "Annie is interested in representing our ice-cold Jadeskin brand in country. She is here to discuss the partnership. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 672. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _4. Hearing this, Anai Chengui exclaimed in surprise, Really? Our can go international now. MHM. Anai Yang nodded. That's fantastic. Anai Chengui said with a deeply moved smile on his face, turning to look at Annie and Emily. Hello, I'm Anai Chengui. Anai Chengui didn't speak English, leaving Emily and Annie looking at each other perplexed, unable to understand what Anai Chengui meant. Anai Yang smiled and translated for them. When Anai Chengui saw Anai Tsuehua could communicate normally with them, his face was full of disbelief. Yang Yang's mom, you're really amazing. Although he had known for some time that Anai Tsuehua was learning English, Anai Chengui didn't realize that her English skills had gotten so good. Anai Tsuehua smiled and said, When I have nothing else to do at home, I practice on my own. After spending so much time, I'd be embarrassed if I still couldn't do it. After all, she had also spent several months on it. It looks like I really need to study hard, or else I'll be the one falling behind. But Yang Yang's mom, you're really smart. A year ago, Anai Tsuehua was just an illiterate rural woman. Now, not only had her appearance and temperament changed, but her knowledge had also improved along with them. Moreover, Anai Tsuehua was someone who loved to learn and had the perseverance to keep at it. Whenever she had free time, she would find a book to read, no matter what kind of book, she could get into it. Anai Chengui truly admired her. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, Sister Chengui, you sure know how to make me happy. You just haven't started learning. If you did, I'm sure you'd be smarter than me. Come on, let's eat. The dishes will get cold. I'll go wash my hands. Anai Chengui put his bag on the sofa and went to the washroom to wash his hands. Because they were aware that Emily and Annie wouldn't know how to use chopsticks, Anai Yang had specifically prepared knives and forks for them. Emily didn't have much expectation for Chinese food at first. She had eaten at Chinese restaurants in M country before. The taste was quite ordinary, not at all better than Western food. But it was only when she tasted Anai Yang's cooking that she discovered what real Chinese food was like. The flavor was stunning. Delicious. It's really amazing. Emily could hardly stop herself from swallowing her tongue along with the food. Seeing Emily's reaction, Annie also lowered her head to taste a bite of the shrimp and vermicelli soup. The soup was rich in flavor, the shrimp was springy, and the vermicelli was full of the savory broth. Biting into it brought a deeply satisfying combination of flavors, much more delightful than plain bread and sandwiches. My goodness! The Chinese were too lucky to be able to eat such delicious food. Very tasty. Annie gave Anai Yang a thumbs up. Anai Yang smiled and said, If you like it, eat more. The next day, Anai Yang took Emily to climb the Great Wall and visit the Forbidden City. They took many photos and didn't return home until after 6 in the evening. Back home, Anai Tsuehua had already prepared dinner. After eating, Annie handed over the newly drafted contract to Anai Yang. Anai Yang, if everything looks fine, we can sign the contract. Besides drafting the contract, Annie had also completed many procedures that day. The Qing dynasty had suffered from its closed-door policy, but modern China was very welcoming to foreigners. Moreover, at this time, export trade wasn't very extensive, so Annie got all the procedures almost completed. Anai Yang looked over the contract and, finding no issues, signed her name on it. Annie took out 5 thick bundles of USD from her bag. Anai Yang, this is the first deposit. Once we get back to M country, we'll transfer the second payment, and afterward, we'll proceed with a cash-on-delivery payment model. Annie had requested a large quantity this time. There was a total of more than $50,000. Converted to RMB, it was more than 400,000. Anai Yang nodded, that's fine. The following day, Annie and Emily left Anai Yang's home. After completing all the paperwork, they took a flight back to M country that very night. Annie only checked in a little more than 50 boxes of the products to take with her. The rest were to be shipped by sea. The goods were expected to arrive in about half a month. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Lin Feng had been visiting the Shangguan family more frequently these days, but coincidentally, every time she came, Shangguan Furong was not at home. On several occasions, it was Zhao Shen who hosted Lin Fang. Today was no exception. Comrade Xiaolin, please have some tea. Zhao Shen served Lin Fang a cup of tea. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 673. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _5. Lin Fang picked up the cup, took a sniff, and laughed. This is the top-grade Bilyuakun. But to be honest, compared to green tea like Bilyuakun, I prefer black-red tea like pure. I always feel that black-red tea is more charming, green tea is too light. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen exclaimed excitedly, really? I think so too. Finding a soulmate who shares your interests in this world is not easy at all. Zhao Shen was now extremely excited. Lin Fang laughed and said, well, we really have the same bad taste. Zhao Shen continued, however, Furong doesn't like black-red tea, so I threw away all the black-red tea at home. Otherwise, I could steep a cup of pure for you now. Speaking of which, that pure tea cake was brought back from Zhongnan. It has been kept for more than 10 years. Zhao Shen's words were filled with regret. Probably only tea lovers would understand his feelings. A pure tea cake that has been stored for more than 10 years is a top-grade tea that can't be purchased in normal times. As Lin Fang observed Zhao Shen's expression, she said, that's a real pity. Sister Furong seems to be quite nice in general. Why is her character so peculiar? You drink yours, she drinks hers. There's no need to waste good stuff? Zhao Shen lowered his head and took a sip of green tea, ignoring Lin Fang's words. Grandma Zhao walked over. Xiaolin, if Furong was as understanding as you are, I would be satisfied. Lin Fang laughed. Grandma, you're joking. I'm just speaking truthfully. Actually, Sister Furong is a really nice person. Source web novel. Com updated on Omicron New Zero. Omicron, she is a good person. It's just that her character is a bit quirky, Grandma Zhao continued. Otherwise, why would she even offend her own mother? Lin Fang chuckled but didn't respond. Because some things are better left unsaid. The more you say, the more it can backfire. Lin Fang didn't stay at the Zhao family's home for long before she proposed leaving. Grandma Zhao said, Shenbao, help me send Xiaolin off. All right. Zhao Shen grabbed his car keys and stood up to accompany Lin Fang. Lin Fang gently declined. No need to send me, it's not that far anyway, I can take a taxi back. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen was about to put down the car keys. Grandma Zhao frowned slightly and continued, just let Zhao Shen send you. It's not like he has anything to do at home anyway. This time Lin Fang didn't refuse. Then ill trouble brother-in-law. Zhao Shen retracted his half-stretched hand. The two of them walked out the door together. Lin Fang took the passenger seat. On the road, Lin Fang tried her best to find mutual topics with Zhao Shen. Because she had done her research beforehand, the two of them enjoyed their conversation more and more. Unfortunately, they soon arrived at Lin Fang's building, and their conversation ceased. Zhao Shen is a very gentlemanly person. He first got out of the car, and walked around to the other side to open the car door for Lin Fang. Thank you. Lin Fang stepped out of the car. But because she was wearing high heels that day, she didn't pay attention when getting out of the car. Her foot twisted and she stumbled forward. Luckily, Zhao Shen reacted in time and stopped her fall. Lin Fang fell into Zhao Shen's arms. Zhao Shen stood there rather helplessly. With a smirk, Lin Fang held onto Zhao Shen's waist and straightened her body. Her eyes filled with a hint of playfulness. Brother-in-law, thank you. Are you okay? Zhao Shen asked with concern. I'm fine, just twisted my ankle. Lin Fang pretended to be strong. Though clearly in her 30s, pretending to be weak didn't seem awkward at all. If you're okay, then I'll go first. Zhao Shen immediately put a safe distance between Lin Fang and himself, turned around, and got back into his car. Watching the black car drive away, Lin Fang bit her lip in frustration. Idiot. This Zhao Shen is just an idiot. Good meat was being delivered to his doorstep, and he didn't know to eat it. No wonder he was tightly controlled by Shangguan Furong. But she was not in a rush. She was confident that she could win over Zhao Shen. It was just a matter of time. When Zhao Shen got home, He just happened to run into Shangguan Furong, who had just returned from playing cards outside. Shangguan Furong glanced at him. Didn't you have anything to do today? Where have you been? Just now Xiaolin came to our house looking for you. Since you weren't at home, we let me send her back. Zhaoxin didn't hide anything from Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong nodded. I understand. Now go and make me a cup of coffee with milk. And she didn't take Lin Fong seriously. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 674. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. 6. In other words, she had enough confidence in herself. She didn't believe Zhaoxin would dare betray her. Okay, I'll go now. Zhaoxin rushed into the room, hoping to have coffee ready by the time Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa. Seeing Shangguan Furong's return, Grandma Zhao tactfully left the living room. Although Enide Suehua wasn't planning to get married to Shangguan Dehui for now, they couldn't keep dragging things on. So Grandma Shangguan spoke with Enide Qinggui to set up an engagement and make it public. Enide Suehua had no objections to this. In China in the 1980s, getting engaged was also known as setting the commitment. Setting the commitment wasn't as formal as it would be in later years. All it required was a matchmaker and inviting family from both sides for a shared meal. However, during the engagement, the wedding date needed to be agreed upon. When Shangguan Furong heard about Shangguan Dehui's engagement to Enide Suehua, she was livid. They had even set the date for the engagement without notifying her. Did they even consider her anymore? Source: Webnovel. Com. Updated on Omicron News 0. Shangguan Furong, angry, went to find Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan said, "How can you expect others to respect you if you don't respect yourself? Mother, am I still your daughter?" Shangguan Furong confronted Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan responded, "I should be the one asking you that. Do you even see me as your mother? You're making a scene for no reason." Continuing, Grandma Shangguan said, "Also you owe Yang an apology for what happened last time." "What?" Shangguan Furong couldn't help but exclaim sharply. "You want me to apologize to her? Why should I apologize to her? Enai Yang was nothing more than an individual trader, and she was the younger generation." Shangguan Furong almost thought she was hallucinating. Apologizing. Grandma Shangguan was actually asking her to apologize. You mess things up so badly. Asking you to apologize is the least of it. Grandma Shangguan continued. "I'm telling you today, if you continue to insist on your views with no remorse, then I won't acknowledge you as my daughter anymore. Leaves that to your own discretion." This time, Grandma Shangguan wouldn't indulge Shangguan Furong any longer. "Mother, do you realize what you're saying? Rest assured, even when I'm asleep, I'm more clear-headed than you." Grandma Shangguan continued. "By the way, until you agree to apologize, please don't call me mother. I don't have a daughter like you." Grandma Shangguan kept a stern face, showing no signs of joking. Shangguan Furong never thought that Grandma Shangguan would sever ties with her own daughter for a bunch of outsiders. The room fell silent for a moment. After a while, Shangguan Furong looked up at Grandma Shangguan and said, word by word, "Fine, I am willing to apologize." "You're certain?" Grandma Shangguan raised her eyebrows to look at her. Yes, Shangguan Furong was no fool. She knew she could not lose the support of the Shangguan family. If Grandma Shangguan were to truly not acknowledge her as a daughter, it would bring her no benefits. So be it. She'll apologize. She will find plenty of ways to deal with that little brat and Yang in the future. The depths of Shangguan Furong's eyes held nothing but hatred. Upon hearing her response, Grandma Shangguan stood up from the couch. "Since you've thought it through, come with me." Shangguan Furong followed in Grandma Shangguan's footsteps. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Enai family's residence. Grandma Shangguan led Shangguan Furong to Enai Yang. Yang, today I brought Aunt Furong to apologize to you." Shangguan Furong stepped out from behind Grandma Shangguan, and with an apologetic expression, she said, "Sorry, Yang. I shouldn't have meddled the other day and introduced you to Qian Weiya. You can rest assured, I won't do it again." Yes. If she ever tried to introduce another potential suitor to Enai Yang, She would be worse than an animal. She hoped Enai Yang would marry a worse-off person. Better yet, someone useless like Mo Qishan. Enai Yang smiled faintly. I hope you'll remember your words today, Aunt Furong. Shangguan Furong nodded with a forced smile. Having apologized, Grandma Shangguan led Shangguan Furong back home. On the car ride home, Grandma Shangguan started the conversation. Furong, your bad temper really needs some working on. If you keep this up, you'll inevitably suffer losses in the future. Zhaoshan might be simple and honest, but even a cornered dog will bite. As her mother, Grandma Shangguan was genuinely worried. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, Aren't you the one who loves seeing me suffer losses? Grandma Shangguan continued, I heard that Lin Fong has been visiting your home frequently. Is that true? What about it? Shangguan Furong looked at Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan continued, Shangguan Furong is a widow who harbors devious intentions. You should distance yourself from such people, lest you end up suffering losses unknowingly. Grandma Shangguan saw Lin Fang's character for what it truly was. It wasn't because she was overly suspicious, but some people just needed to be guarded against. Shangguan Furong laughed, then sarcastically said, Mother, who I want to associate with is my business. Could you please mind your own? And stop concerning yourself with our family affairs? Grandma Shangguan frowned slightly. I'm saying all of this for your own good. Have you ever seen a mother harm her own child? Well, when I was introducing suitors to Enai Yang, I was doing it for the good of the Shangguan family. Have you ever seen a daughter who would harm her own mother? Shangguan Furong turned the tables. She really hated Grandma Shangguan's hypocritical manner. It was utterly repugnant. Grandma Shangguan was at a loss for words. Furong, how can you be so ungrateful? Don't you think the person being ungrateful is you? Shangguan Furong looked at Grandma Shangguan, her face full of mockery. She had good intentions, thinking about the Shangguan family's interests, but Grandma Shangguan didn't appreciate it, and even punished her. Now at last, Grandma Shangguan could experience her feelings too. Shangguan Furong felt an intense satisfaction within. Grandma Shangguan sighed. She earnestly said, Furong, trust me, Lin Fong is not a good person. It's best you don't have any dealings with her. Have you ever heard me say a word about your other friends? As her own flesh and blood, Grandma Shangguan couldn't bear to see her treacherously sucked into some abyss. She had an intuition that Lin Fong was definitely getting close to Shangguan Furong with ulterior motives. Shangguan Furong said, Mother, I have my own eyes to see, and I can judge for myself. I have a better understanding of Lin Fong than you do. Please refrain from making baseless comments about my friends. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 675. Engagement Scene Shining Brightly. _1 Seeing Shangguan Furong so obstinate, Shangguan old lady sighed. Furong, you're being so stubborn, refusing to consider the opinions of others. One day, you will regret it. Shangguan Furong smiled and replied, Mother, shouldn't I be the one saying those words to you? Who is really the stubborn one here? She had always kept the best interests of the Shangguan family in mind, but had the old lady ever shown a shred of gratitude? Not only was she ungrateful, but she also took her good intentions for granted. Now she was even being asked to apologize to a younger generation. When had Shangguan Furong ever suffered such humiliation? The old lady stood by Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang wholeheartedly, but she would one day regret it. The old lady shook her head helplessly. Well, I've warned you. Whether you choose to listen is up to you. But let me say this up front. If one day you are wronged by Lin Fong, don't come crying to me. If you don't mind losing face, I do. She had made herself clear. Shangguan Furong was in her 30s now, not a 3-year-old. She should know right from wrong. Shangguan Furong laughed scornfully. Mother, rest assured. I will never give you the chance to see that day. But as for you, your bias for Daya and Enai Yang, there will come a day when you might regret it. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Don't worry, both Daya and Yang are not like that. The old lattice eyes were full of firm belief, firmly convinced that she would never misjudge a person. Who can guarantee that? She was waiting for that day. The day the old lady would regret her words. The old lady didn't say anything more. The 8th day of the 11th lunar month. Auspicious. Travel, engagement, trade, tourism, blessings. The engagement of Inai Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui was set for this day. The golden morning sun rose slowly from the east. By the time Inai Yang woke up, Shengguan Dehui, Shengguan Su, and Shengguan Shi had already arrived. At this moment, they were having breakfast in the living room. Uncle Shengguan, you came so early. Inai Yang was somewhat surprised. Inai Chenggui laughed and said, it's best to do such things as early as possible. Yang, sit here. Shengguan Shi waved at Inai Yang. The buns auntie made are simply delicious. Shengguan Su took a sip of milk, then casually wiped an oil stain off the chair with a napkin. Inai Yang walked over and sat next to Shengguan Shi. The chair she sat on was the one that Shengguan Su had just wiped. Shengguan Dehui brought many essential items for the engagement. After breakfast, he, along with Shengguan Su, took little Inai Yun and distributed wedding candies to each and every household. An engagement is a joyous occasion, of course, it should be shared with everyone. The candy bags not only contained candies but also red dates, peanuts, longans, lotus seeds, as well as 2 cookies and a packet of cigarettes. At this time in the village, distributing 2 candies per household for a happy event was already considered generous. It was quite unheard of for someone like Shengguan Dehui to distribute such large quantities. Inai Yang, on the other hand, was helping Inai Tsuehua style her hair with Shengguan Shi. To be precise, Inai Yang was doing the hair styling, while Shengguan Shi was watching from the side. Inai Yang had very skillful hands, and in no time, she created a very intricate hairstyle. Shengguan Shi couldn't help but exclaim, Yang, you're amazing. I never knew hairstyles could look this good. Inai Yang could cook, could fight, and could do business. She was simply too outstanding. Shengguan Shi felt like she must have been a good person in her previous life, to have such a talented sister in this life. Inai Yang laughed and said, Sister Xiaoxi, it's not that hard once you know the trick. I can teach you when we have time. Really? Inai Yang nodded. Seeing Inai Yang and Shengguan Shi getting along so well, Inai Tsuehua felt relieved. Once her hair was done, Inai Tsuehua went to change into her engagement gown. The engagement gown was brought by Shengguan Dehui, a wine-red Chinese-style dress. Inai Tsuehua had a great figure and fair skin. After putting on the dress, she looked at least 10 years younger. Elegant and dignified. She is so beautiful. Shengguan Shi gasped in awe. Although she knew Inai Tsuehua was pretty, she seemed like a completely different person after dressing up. Yang, take a picture of me and auntie. Shengguan Shi, arm in arm with Inai Tsuehua, made a scissor hand sign. Include me as well. Inai Chenggui came over. Inai Yang took the camera and snapped many pictures. Just as Inai Tsuehua came out after changing, Mo Qishan and Wu Daming walked in with gift boxes from outside. Brother Mo Wu Daming. Yang. Mo Qishan walked over and shook hands with Inai Yang. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 676. Engagement scene shining brightly. _2. Sister-in-law. Congratulations. Wu Daming placed the gift box on the coffee table in the middle of the living room. Thank you. Yang, Li Ronghua, along with Gooden and Li Fugui, walked in from outside. Sister Inai Yang. Gooden was very excited to see Inai Yang. He was about ready to rush over and hug Inai Yang when his eyes met Mo Qishan, and chickened out. Gooden. Inai Yang reached out and patted Gooden's little head. Sister Li has also arrived. Wu Daming looked towards Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua gave Wu Daming a disdainful look. Who are you calling sister? This Wu Daming really needed putting in his place. No matter how many times she had said it, he just wouldn't quit calling her sister. Upon receiving Li Ronghua's scornful look, Wu Daming scratched his head and muttered to himself. Looks just like an elder sister but doesn't want to be called one. He really was the most pitiable. Inai Yang intervened, laughing. Sister Ronghua, Wu Daming Fugui Gooden. Let me introduce you. This is my sister Shengguan Shi. Sister Xiaoxi, this is Mo's fellow classmate Wu Daming. This is my good friend Li Ronghua. This is Gooden, Ronghua's younger brother, and this is her eldest brother Li Fugui. Shangguan she greeted everyone one by one. Source web novel. Updated on new. Of course, Yang Gobeo's family couldn't be absent from Inai Qihua's engagement ceremony. A little later, Wang Meifeng brought Yang Changzheng and Yang Guobao over. Seeing his long-lost friends, Guden was especially excited. By the time Shangguan Dehui and the others returned from distributing candy for good fortune, it was precisely 8:30. The engagement ceremony was to be held in Shangguan's home. Therefore, everyone got ready to go to the Shangguans. Shangguan Furong, dressed in a big red gift outfit, was busy arranging the engagement ceremony site. She had a dominating character and wanted to decide every single matter herself. Madame Shangguan looked at the seating arrangement, a bit puzzled. Why are all the relatives on our side? Furong, where did you arrange the relatives from the Daya side? In China, nothing is more important than table etiquette. During big occasions, the elders and important relatives would sit on the first table on either side, but Shangguan Furong arranged the first and second tables on both sides only with relatives from the Shangguan and Zhao's side. The third and fourth tables were for Inai Qihua's relatives. Shangguan Furong said, "All the relatives you brought are poor folks from rural areas. It's embarrassing to have them at the first table. The first table should be reserved for esteemed guests. Having a group of nobles sit with country folk would be socially unacceptable." Madame Shangguan slightly frowned. "Furong, who are you looking down on? Did I say something wrong?" Shangguan Furong continued. "Deya is just a country girl. It's already a great honor for her to marry into our family. Now she wants to choose seating as well? Besides, isn't it a farce to let country folks sit with our relatives? The most esteemed guests on Inai Qihua's side should be the Mo's and the Yangs. The Mo's came because of Mo Qishan, and the Yang family probably came because of the Mo's sake." At this point, Shangguan Furong paused and then continued. "Plus, I've invited Li Long, Mr. Abner's assistant, to come. He will also attend my brother's engagement ceremony. That will really enhance our family's status. Do we want to embarrass ourselves in front of Mr. Li Long? Mr. Abner is a foreigner. Although his status in China is not as high as Mr. Mog's, he is still a powerful figure in Beijing. Otherwise, Shangguan Furong wouldn't have been so proud to have invited Li Long. No one could envy more than attracting the attention of Mr. Abner, even if it was only his assistant. Could Inai Suehua, a farmer, manage to make connections with Mr. Abner?" Madame Shangguan's face showed deep anger. "Furong, today is your brother's day of great joy. I don't want to argue with you. I will handle everything from now on." Madame Shangguan was old, and though she didn't have much energy and originally did not want to intervene, she hadn't expected Shangguan Furong to go too far, relocating Inai Qihua's relatives to the third table and beyond. She couldn't believe that Furong had thought of this. "Mom," Shangguan Furong frowned and said, "You don't mind being embarrassed? It's you who makes me feel embarrassed." Madame Shangguan took the stage to guide people in rearranging the tables and chairs. Shangguan Furong, outraged, slammed the cup in her hand on the table. Fine. Isn't it enough for you if I stop interfering? Anyway, when it comes to embarrassment, it's you who'll be the laughingstock, not me." Madame Shangguan rearranged the tables and chairs once again. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 677. Engagement Scene Shining Brightly. _3. The male relatives were seated on the left, while the female relatives were arranged on the right. As soon as this was arranged, Shangguan Dehui arrived with Inai Suehua. Madame Shangguan immediately greeted them. "Dehui Daya, what do you think of the arrangements here?" "Aunt, you arranged it very well. Thank you for your hard work," Inai Suehua replied. No trouble at all. Madame Shangguan looked towards the others behind her. "Everyone, please come in and take a seat." Although Inai Suehua didn't have many relatives in Beijing, quite a few people, both young and old, did come. The elders included Grandma Lu, Old Madame Mo, and Old Master Mo Li Ronghua and his two siblings, the three-member Yang Guobao family, Mo Qishan and Wu Daming, Inai Yang and little Inai Yun, and Inai Qinggui among others were present. The village chief, representing the entire population of Jinghua village, was also present. Madame Shangguan immediately invited everyone inside. Shangguan Furong watched the crowd entering with a look of disdain on her face. The Mo and Yang families were alright since they were also wealthy families in Beijing. But what about the rest of these people? Such people were also allowed to enter the door of the Shangguan residence. Source Web Novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. Madame Shangguan must have been out of her mind, being so enthusiastic with these people. Were they worthy? After everyone entered, it didn't take long for the rest of the guests to arrive as well. Shangguan Dahue and Enai Tsuehua stood at the door greeting guests and handing out candies. Shangguan Furong was also warmly welcoming guests on the other side, a stark contrast to her behavior just a while ago. The elitist circle was aware that Shangguan Dahue had married a rural woman. So many people attended the engagement ceremony with the mentality of enjoying the drama. Initially, they thought they'd see a crude village woman. But surprisingly, the bride-to-be was so beautiful. Enai Tsuehua, tall with an enviable figure, dressed in a traditional Chinese dress that reached the ground, light makeup on her face, refined and elegant, appeared even more striking than Shangguan Furong, the legitimate heiress. Where was this village girl they were expecting? Dahue, congratulations. I wish you a harmonious life. Thank you. Having thanked them, Shangguan Dahue turned to Enai Tsuehua. Dia, this is my colleague, Professor Han. Hello, Professor Han. With Enai Kuihua's polite demeanor, nobody could pick out any flaws, leaving everyone with a good impression of her. Shangguan Furong looked at Enai Tsuehua, squinting her eyes without a word. To overshadow Enai Tsuehua, she had purposely worn a dress even brighter than Enai's. Still, Tsuehua managed to steal the limelight. She's such a cunning woman. Enai Tsuehua was wearing high heels today. Taking advantage of a quiet moment, Shangguan Dahue whispered, Dia, do your feet hurt? Should we get a flat pair for you to change into? No need. Enai Tsuehua shook her head. I'm fine. In the blink of an eye, it was almost 11 o'clock and most of the guests had arrived. Shangguan Furong, holding a wine glass, stood around chatting with a bunch of wealthy matrons. One of them said, Furong, I heard your future sister-in-law is a rural woman. Is that true? There was some hint of provocation in the question. A distinguished family marrying a village woman, that was quite novel. A rare occurrence in a century indeed. Shangguan Furong nodded. It's true. Don't let her good looks fool you. She doesn't know a single letter. She's just good at seducing men. Otherwise, how would my brother fall for her? I think she's quite pretty. And her daughter Enai Yang is also good-looking. Shangguan Furong snorted. Her daughter isn't any better. Both mother and daughter are vixens. Furong, from what I can see, it seems like you really don't like them, do you? Jia Zhenjin asked. Shangguan Furong replied. I've opposed this marriage from the start, but unfortunately, no one in my family listens to me. Would you like to see her make a fool of herself? Zhenjin playfully swirled her glass. What do you mean? Shangguan Furong asked eagerly. If she could see Enai Tsuehua humiliated in front of everyone at the wedding, it would definitely be amusing. A glint flashed in Shangguan Furong's eyes. Jia Zhenjin gave a mysterious smile. Just watch and see. After saying this, she carried her wine glass and headed towards Enai Tsuehua. Enai Tsuehua was in conversation with Zhao Yeshu, Madame Shangguan's sister-in-law. Zhao Shuya, being highly educated, had thought she wouldn't have much in common with Enai Tsuehua. However, surprisingly Enai Tsuehua was just as knowledgeable. Regardless of the topic, Enai Tsuehua always contributed to the conversation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 678. Shining brightly at the engagement scene. _4. This surprised her a bit. After all, the person standing in front of her was just a village woman. That's your daughter, isn't it? She's so pretty. The young man with her looks a bit familiar. Zhao Yeshu pointed at Enai Yang. Just then Jia Zhenjin, holding a glass of red wine, barged into her. Smack. The red wine splashed directly onto Enai Tsuehua. Jia Zhenjin immediately apologized. Sorry, are you okay? I didn't do it on purpose. Please forgive me. She quickly fired off a string of fluent English. Jia Zhenjin's intent was to embarrass Enai Tsuehua. How could she embarrass Enai Tsuehua if she used the normal language? It was somewhat quiet around them as everyone looked in their direction. Shangguan Furong looked over and said to the wealthy ladies beside her, Zhenjin really knows how to handle things. Who in the elite circle doesn't know English? If Enai Tsuehua doesn't source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Zero. Where would it leave Madame Shangguan's face? It's about time Madame Shangguan learned what is the meaning of being well-matched in social and economic status. If it had been Lin Feng today, she would have handled it calmly, never letting the Shangguan family lose face. As for Enai Tsuehua, she can only make a fool of herself. Enai Tsuehua didn't expect someone to suddenly bump into her, and even less did she expect the person would speak in English. She was stunned for a moment, then she smiled and said, No problem, don't worry about it. She replied in fluent English as well. At this time, Enai Tsuehua was extremely thankful that she and Enai Yang had taken a trip abroad and learned English afterwards, otherwise she would have been embarrassed today. Jia Zhenjin was dumbfounded. Shangguan Furong was shocked, so was Zhao Yeshu. No one expected Enai Tsuehua to speak English. Wasn't Enai Tsuehua illiterate, having never even finished primary school? How would an illiterate woman know how to speak English? Not only did Enai Tsuehua not make a fool of herself, but she also spectacularly turned the tables. Shangguan Dehui came over from the other side. Daya, are you all right? Do you want to change your clothes? He had prepared a backup dress in case of emergencies. Okay. Enai Tsuehua nodded, and then turned to Jia Zhenjin. Ma'am, the floor is slippery. Please be careful. Slippery? The floor is covered in a thick red carpet. How could it be slippery? Her words were a warning as well as a reminder. As the guest of honor today, if Enai Tsuehua had been deliberately bumped into and didn't retaliate, what would the other guests think? Also, since we are Chinese, I believe we should speak in Chinese. She then smoothly switched back to Mandarin. As soon as she finished, the looks of the others who heard her words instantly changed when they looked at Jia Zhenjin. Pretending to accidentally bump into Enai Tsuehua, taking advantage of the opportunity to splash wine onto her, purposely speaking English, it's clear that Jia Zhenjin harbored ill intentions. No doubt, Enai Tsuehua's retaliation was exquisite. Shangguan Furong was grinding her teeth in anger. She had underestimated Enai Tsuehua. Jia Zhenjin's face had turned various colors. It was quite a sight. Sorry. Enai Tsuehua didn't say anything else. She turned and went to change her clothes with Shangguan Dehui. Jia Zhenjin ran to Shangguan Furong's side, frowning. Furong, didn't you say that Daya was just an illiterate village woman? She had been positive that Enai Tsuehua was a village woman, and found the courage to tease her. If she had known that Enai Tsuehua was so competent, and could even speak English, she would not have gone looking for trouble even if she was paid. She's now lost face inside and out. Shangguan Furong was also frustrated. I don't know either. I asked my mother before, and she said that Daya didn't go to primary school. How did Enai Tsuehua suddenly learn to speak English? Zhenjin, don't be upset. It's my fault, Shangguan Furong followed. By the way, I specially invited Mr. Li Long to be a guest today, and he'll introduce you to him later. Who's Li Long? Jia Zhenjin was somewhat puzzled. Zhao Yun on the side gasped in surprise. Could it be Mr. Abner's assistant Li Long? Yes, Shangguan Furong nodded. Who doesn't know about Mr. Abner? This man from F country is extremely proud and never associates with Chinese. No one knew how Shangguan Furong befriended his assistant. My gosh. Furong, you're too amazing. Furong, don't play favorites. I also want to meet Mr. Abner. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 679. Engagement Scene Shining Brightly. _5. At that moment, Jia Zhenjin's anger was completely dispersed by Mr. Abner. She thought about having Shangguan Furong introduce her to Li Long. At this moment, Shangguan Dehui brought Enai Tsuehua to the fitting room. You go in and change. I'll wait for you outside, he said. All right. Inai Tsuehua nodded. The spare dress was identical to what Inai Tsuehua was wearing, with a long zipper at the back. At home, it was Inai Yang who had helped her zip it up, but now alone she couldn't manage, so she opened the door to ask for Shangguan Dihui's help. She opened the door slightly. Can you come in and help me zip up? Shangguan Dihui was a bit taken aback at first, then said, all right. Upon entering, Shangguan Dihui immediately locked the door behind him. Zip, the zipper was pulled to the top. Inai Tsuehua turned open the door. Let's go. We should head out. At that moment, Shangguan Dihui leaned against the door, trapping Inai Tsuehua between the door and him, looking down to her with a dominating vibe. For a moment, Inai Tsuehua felt as if she'd traveled back more than 20 years ago. Source web novel. Com. Updated on In0New0. Shangguan Dihui's gaze on her was the same predatory look he had given her the first time they met. Just as Inai Tsuehua was about to say something, Shangguan Dihui leaned in for a kiss. He had wanted to do this for a long time, but he had been afraid of scaring her off, just as he had all those years ago. Today he had finally done something he had long wanted to, but had not dared to do. Let's go. Inai Tsuehua opened the door. Wait a moment, Shangguan Dihui asked hoarsely. What's the matter? Inai Tsuehua asked with a puzzled look. Shangguan Dihui picked up a lipstick from the dresser. Touch up your makeup before we go. Inai Tsuehua blushed as she took the lipstick and sat in front of the mirror. Shangguan Dihui continued. Are you using the lipstick I handed over today? Yes, Inai Tsuehua nodded. Use it again next time. Huh. Inai Tsuehua stared blankly. Leave me alone. Inai Tsuehua playfully shoved Shangguan Dihui. Aren't you too old to still be playing games? Shangguan Dihui squinted. I was only 21 the year I met you. So this year, I'm at most 22. From the day he met her, his age had become fixed. Inai Tsuehua broke into a light laugh. About 10 minutes later, the two finally left the fitting room. The atmosphere in the main hall was lively. Everyone had heard that Li Long was coming. So many people were now crowded round Shangguan Furong. Everyone wanted to take this opportunity to get to know Li Long. Furong, are you really sure Li Long will come? Someone asked in disbelief. Shangguan Furong smiled. Why would I lie about something like this? If he's coming, you'll all see him soon. Shangguan Furong had met Li Long at a dinner party. After talking, she found out that Li Long had some connection with the Zhao family. At that time, she had even taken the chance to chat with Mr. Abner. For this engagement ceremony, Shangguan Furong had also sent an invitation to Mr. Abner. But she wasn't sure if Mr. Abner would come, so she hadn't mentioned it to anyone. Mr. Abner was a proud man, who never gave face to the great families. If he didn't come, wouldn't it be a loss of face? But Li Long would certainly come, because she had already arranged it with him. Someone chimed in. You said Li Long would come, but why hasn't he arrived yet? Yeah, why? It's nearly 11 o'clock. Just then, four figures walked in from outside. The two people in the front were clearly a mother and son. The two men trailing them were carrying lavish gifts. Seeing these four, the bustling hall gradually quieted down. The man in front, is that Mr. Abner? Mr. Abner was different from Mr. Mogg. Mr. Mogg kept a low profile and was mysterious. He never appeared in public, so nobody even knew his age. But Mr. Abner was very high profile. He often attended various cocktail parties. That's why the people in the upper class circle knew him. Shangguan Furong was ecstatic. She never thought Mr. Abner would come personally to congratulate her. He really did come. Furong, you're incredible. Not only did you invite Li Long, but also Mr. Abner. Although Mr. Abner's influence was not as powerful as Mr. Mogg's, he was still no one to be taken lightly. Moreover, Mr. Abner was a character that all the major families wanted to draw in, and yet he was subtly won over by Shangguan Furong. Suppressing her inner excitement, Shangguan Furong adjusted her smile, walked up to the group, and said in fluent English, Mr. Abner, you're here. Please, this way. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 680, Engagement Scene Shining Brightly. _6. English is a universal language, so Mr. Abner shouldn't have trouble understanding it. Mr. Abner smiled at her and said in fluent Chinese, "Is Yang here?" Yang? Wasn't Mr. Abner the one she had invited? Why would he be looking for Yang? Not to mention, how could someone like Yang, a small-town girl, know Mr. Abner? She must be imagining things. Shangguan Furong smiled and said, "Mr. Abner, thank you very much for accepting the invitation to attend my brother's engagement ceremony. Please come in." Mr. Abner's brows wrinkled slightly. "Lady, I think you might be mistaken. I don't know you. I came to find Yang. Is she here?" The next second, Shangguan Furong's confident smile abruptly froze on her face. Embarrassing. So embarrassing. Everyone knew Mr. Abner had been invited by her. Now Mr. Abner claims he doesn't know her. He even insisted he was here looking for Yang. Source web novel. Com updated on Omicron New Zero. Hearing this, people began to whisper amongst themselves. Quickly recovering, Shangguan Furong bit the bullet and said, "Mr. Abner, Yang is my niece. Please come with me." Upon hearing that Yang was her niece, Mr. Abner's attitude improved significantly. "Could you please take me to Yang?" Just then, Yang walked over from the other side. "Mr. Abner." "Miss Yang." Mr. Abner immediately approached her. Yang. Georgiana was thrilled to see Yang. She has been wanting to adopt Yang as her goddaughter, but hadn't had the opportunity. Today, however, seems like a good opportunity. Mr. Abner continued, "I heard that today is a joyous day for your mother. Therefore, my mother and I have brought along some modest gifts. We hope you will accept them." The moment he finished speaking, two aides beside him offered the pre-prepared gifts. A valuable 1,000-year-old ginseng and precious jewelry were displayed on the red velvet. The people around were stunned. It appears that Mr. Abner has no connection with the Shangguan family. He had legitimately come for Yang's sake. Yang was too amazing. She actually knew Mr. Abner. People could not even get close to Mr. Abner, while Yang even had Mr. Abner bringing her gifts. What a magnificent honor. Shangguan Furong's face turned pale. She was actually outperformed by a small-town girl. Yang took Mr. Abner to Tsuehua and Shangguan Dehui. "This is my uncle, and this is my mother." "Uncle, Auntie, I wish you a long and happy life together," Mr. Abner greeted politely. Shangguan Dehui took Mr. Abner's hand. "Thank you." Had already known that Yang was no ordinary person. So when he saw Yang knew Mr. Abner, Shangguan Dehui was not surprised. Then Yang introduced, "This is my boyfriend Chishan." Upon seeing Chishan, Mr. Abner's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. Chishan slightly smiled and took the initiative to stretch out his hand toward Mr. Abner. "Mr. Abner, I've heard a lot about you." Mr. Abner glanced around and then revealed a mysterious smile. "It's my pleasure." "It's my pleasure?" Mr. Abner was showing respect to a good-for-nothing? What could this good-for-nothing possibly teach him? But it makes sense when you think about it. After all, Mr. Abner is from F country and isn't acquainted with Chinese customs. He probably didn't know about Chishan's reputation. Unfortunately, this good-for-nothing, instead of being modest, accepted the compliment with a smile. Does he even realize the person standing in front of him is Mr. Abner? A good-for-nothing will always be a good-for-nothing. A worthless thing. Yang must be blind. Being such a beauty. How could she fancy Chishan? Because of Mr. Abner, Tsuehua quickly became the most popular person there, with everyone showing their friendliness. During the meal, Mr. Abner sat with the village chief, Grandma Lu, and the family at the first table on the right side. Guests from the left side kept coming over to toast. The rich dames who were originally hanging around Shangguan Furong also rushed to the right side. Shangguan Furong's face looked quite ugly. Mr. Abner was her guest. How did he end up being Yang's guest? What sort of dishonorable methods did she employ? Sitting next to Yang, Georgiana turned to Tsuehua, who was hoisting her wine glass. "Miss I really like Yang and we get along quite well. May I adopt her as my goddaughter?" As these words were spoken, several people present were a bit taken aback. Georgiana is adopting Ni Yang as her goddaughter. Wouldn't that make Mr. Abner Ni Yang's brother, and Ni Tsuehua Mr. Abner's godmother? What an honor! There would be a line of people from here to the end of the Yangtze River wanting to become Georgiana's goddaughter. Shangguan Furong felt mixed emotions, and found it hard to swallow back her discomfort. Why on earth did she want to recognize a goddaughter out of the blue? If she wanted to recognize a goddaughter, shouldn't she have chosen her? What qualifications does Ni Yang have to be Georgiana's goddaughter? Shangguan Furong felt like vomiting blood. Ni Tsuehua and Ni Yang exchanged a glance and smiled. It's Yang Yang's good fortune if you would consider her as your goddaughter. Seeing that there were so many people present, if they denied the request, they would seem ungrateful. Moreover, personal relationships are really important. Many hands make light work after all. Georgiana immediately had her assistant present the prepared sapphire necklace as a token of their newfound bond. Country people adore gems. So this was an incredibly lavish sapphire necklace. The sapphires shone dazzlingly, as mysterious and alluring as the deep sea. This necklace is a relic from the last century, very valuable. A few people present recognized the origin of the necklace, and the air was filled with gasps. It seems that Georgiana was not joking. She really considered Ni Yang as her goddaughter. Georgiana put the necklace on Ni Yang herself. It's beautiful. Ni Yang was already beautiful, but wearing the sapphire necklace, she looked even more radiant. Thank you, godmother. Ni Yang politely expressed her thanks. Georgiana extended her arms to hug Ni Tsuehua. You have a wonderful daughter. You flatter us. Who amongst those present was not envious of Ni Tsuehua? People initially thought that Ni Tsuehua, a rural woman, would embarrass herself at the engagement ceremony. Surprisingly, not only did she not embarrass herself, but she also brought great honor to herself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 681. All the stars surround the moon, infinite scenery _1. The person who felt the most uncomfortable at that moment had to be Shangguan Furong. She had been running around for Shangguan Dihui's engagement, even invitingly long over, only to find out that she had ended up preparing the wedding outfit for Ni Tsuehua and her daughter, Ni Yang. The person who should have been in the limelight was supposed to be her. How did it turn out to be Ni Tsuehua and Ni Yang? How did they even know Mr. Abner? Just two country bumpkins, what gave them the right? The more Shangguan Furong thought about it, the less willing she was to accept it, almost wishing she could tear Ni Tsuehua's face into pieces. Furong. Zhao Shen gently tugged at her sleeve. What is it? Shangguan Furong turned her head impatiently. Zhao Shen swallowed, then said, Shall we also offer a toast to brother and sister-in-law? Shangguan Dihui and Ni Tsuehua were the stars of the evening. All the guests took the initiative to toast to them. It would seem a bit strange if they didn't. Shangguan Furong rolled her eyes at Zhao Shen. Sister-in-law? The wedding hasn't even taken place yet. How is she considered a sister-in-law? I said you're stupid, and you really are stupid. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Even if they were married, they could still get divorced. Not to mention Shangguan Dihui and Ni Tsuehua were not even married yet. But Zhao Shen was somewhat troubled. But our mom is watching, and there are so many relatives and friends here. Furong, let's just go over there. There were so many people present, they couldn't possibly embarrass the old Shangguan madam. Shangguan Furong weighed the pros and cons, and finally chose to pick up the wine glass, and with Zhao Shen, they went up to Shangguan Dihui and Ni Tsuehua. Brother, Dia, Zhao Shen and I toast to you. Zhao Shen stood by holding his glass. Thank you, Furong. Ni Tsuehua raised her cup and clinked it with hers. Shangguan Dihui remained silent as he held little Ni Yun with one arm, taking a sip from his drink. Shangguan Furong subtly bit her lip, knowing that Shangguan Dihui was still upset about the incident last time. But that incident wasn't her fault to begin with. Moreover, old Madame Shangguan had slapped her, and she already apologized to Ni Yang. Now Shangguan Dihui couldn't even tell right from wrong, all for Ni Tsuehua. Does he even deserve to be a brother? Miss Ni, Mr. Shangguan, congratulations. Mr. Abner walked over from the other side with his glass in hand. Mr. Abner. Shangguan Dahui raised his glass to him. Georgia even claimed Anai Yang as her daughter. Mr. Abner giving a toast was trivial. In comparison, Mr. Abner was still a junior in front of Shangguan Dahui. Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes. She, being Shangguan Dahui's sister, would be considered as Mr. Abner's aunt. Being the elder, Mr. Abner should certainly toast to her also. As long as Mr. Abner offered her a toast, at least she could somewhat recover her lost face. Thinking like this, her heart was slightly comforted. Shangguan Furong straightened her back, waiting for Mr. Abner to toast her. However, not only did Mr. Abner not toast her, but he walked away with Shangguan Dahui instead. Apparently, the two had something to discuss. Anai Tsuehua took little Anai Yin from Shangguan Dahui and chatted with Georgia. In a conversation between two men, Shangguan Furong couldn't really have a say. She should find Georgia instead. Georgia was Mr. Abner's mother. If she managed to please Georgia, it was the same as pleasing Mr. Abner. But it seemed that Georgia was already engaged in a conversation with Anai Tsuehua. Shangguan Furong naturally wouldn't stoop so low to initiate a conversation with Anai Tsuehua. Toasting her was already giving her plenty of face. If anything, Anai Tsuehua should be the one coming over with Georgia. She was the only remaining daughter-in-law in the Shangguan family, so Anai Tsuehua should think of a way to please her. Just like Lin Fong trying to please her. Unfortunately, Anai Tsuehua didn't have the slightest comprehension of that. If Anai Tsuehua was willing to bring Georgia over tonight, she would forgive Anai Tsuehua. If Anai Tsuehua wasn't willing to take a hint, she would never forgive Anai Tsuehua in her life. Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes. She had waited for so long, but Anai Tsuehua never took the initiative to please her. Shangguan Furong was so angry that it was making her sick. She left before the engagement banquet was over without uttering a word, leaving Zhao Shen behind to clean up the mess. Old Madame Shangguan looked at Zhao Shen and said apologetically, "Zhao Shen, Furong has always been over-competitive. That must have upset you quite a few times." Zhao Shen responded with a smile. "It's fine. I know Furong is not a bad person." He had grown used to it over the years. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 682. All the stars surround the moon, infinite scenery _2. Arguing further has no point. Today was supposed to be a day of joy. Old Mrs. Shangguan didn't want to bring up these unpleasant matters. But Shangguan Furong had truly overstepped her bounds. She just up and left without a word. What would Anai Tsuehua and Shangguan Dahui think of that? Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. "Zhao Shen, there are times when a man should stand tall. Don't let her keep bullying you." Zhao Shen nodded. "Mom, I understand. Don't worry, Furong isn't that unreasonable of a person." Old Mrs. Shangguan let out a soft sigh. "I know exactly what sort of person she is. Now, I heard that Furong and Lin Fong have been getting pretty close lately?" "It seems that way." Zhao Shen continued to nod. Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. "Lin Fong is a very calculating person. She acts one way from the front, and another from the back. When it comes to guile, Furong can't outplay her. I've already warned Furong, and you should also be wary of Lin Fong. Shangguan Furong is the type of person that wears her flaws on her face. She speaks her mind. If she had a bit of cunning in her, she wouldn't just up and leave without even saying hello. Whilst Lin Fong is rotten to the core, the type of person who acts like a human in front of others and a devil behind their back. These two people simply aren't on the same level. Shangguan Furong isn't a match for Lin Fong." Zhao Shen understood the implication behind old Mrs. Shangguan's words. "All right, Mom, don't worry, I'll be mindful." Source: web novel. Com. Updated on new. Old Mrs. Shangguan nodded. "Good with your words, I am reassured." In reality, Zhao Shen is a very clever person. Otherwise, the Zhao family would not have lasted as long as they have, but rather, they continue to flourish. The reason he carries no weight in Zhao family matters, and always listens to Shangguan Furong, is simply because he's in love with her. He truly likes Shangguan Furong. Back in the day, he paid quite a price to marry Shangguan Furong. Taking advantage of Zhao Shen's love for her, Shangguan Furong does as she pleases in the Zhao family, acting arrogantly and willfully. Even old Mrs. Zhao has to live at the mercy of her moods. Zhao Shen continued. I'll go speak with my brother and sister-in-law now, so they won't misunderstand Furong. Old Mrs. Shangguan nodded. After the engagement ceremony ended, Anai Yang and Mo Qishan escorted Georgia and Mr. Abner to the door. Shangguan Dahui and Anai Tsuehua were seeing off the other guests. Mo Qishan stepped forward, embodying the true gentleman as he held the car door open for them. Please. Georgia was holding on to Anai Yang's arm. She leaned in and whispered, Yang, you have a wonderful boyfriend. It was evident from Mo Qishan's words and actions that he truly cared for Anai Yang. Thank you. Mr. Abner looked at Mo Qishan. Yang is my mother's goddaughter, so wouldn't that make us somewhat like brothers? Mo Qishan gave a slight nod. It is my honor. Mr. Abner said, being able to call myself brother to Mr. Mo is my honor. Though others were unaware of Mo Qishan's status, Mr. Abner certainly was. 3 years ago, he had seen Mo Qishan once at a large gathering in F country. He was surrounded by a crowd, like the moon surrounded by the stars, full of glamour. Simultaneously, he was also the only Chinese person there. How could such a person possibly be a wastrel? Watching the car driving away, Anai Yang tugged on Mo Qishan's sleeve. Brother Mo, did you and Mr. Abner know each other ahead of time? Mo Qishan gave a slight nod. I did meet him once a couple of years ago in F country. Anai Yang laughed. No wonder I felt something off about the way you two were interacting at the party. Yang, are you jealous? Mo Qishan threw his arm over Anai Yang's shoulder, smiling as he asked. Anai Yang said helplessly, You're thinking too much. Mo Qishan lowered his gaze and stole a quick kiss on her cheek, as light as a dragonfly skimming the water. Anai Yang glared at him. We're in public, mind your image, careful people see. Though Beijing wasn't as conservative in 1984, public displays of affection were still a rarity. Then we'll do it secretly in the future. Anai Yang. All these events were noticed by Shangguan Su from the second floor. Anai Yang was an exceptional person. As her older brother, he should shoulder his responsibilities and make sure she doesn't end up with some worthless man. Luckily, Mo Qishan wasn't as despicable as the rumors suggested. Shangguan Zu's eyes hardened, and he took a swig of his drink. Zhao family residence. When Zhao Shen returned, Shangguan Furong had just finished her shower and stepped out of the bathroom. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 683. All the stars surround the moon, infinite scenery _3. She wore a deep purple bathrobe, her eyebrows and eyes were less dominant than usual, and she looked softer. Zhao Shen gazed at her, as if seeing the shy young girl from 15 years ago. His heart stirred for a moment as he moved to embrace Shangguan Furong, only to be roughly pushed away by her. You're sleeping in the guest room tonight. Shangguan Furong was still upset about what had happened at the engagement banquet today, so she naturally wasn't pleased with Zhao Shen. As for Shangguan Furong's orders, Zhao Shen never dared to disobey. He gathered up his bedding and change of clothes, shoved open the door, and began walking towards the study. Zhao Shen just reached the living room when the old lady Zhao descended from the stairs above. Did Furong kick you out again? Zhao Shen nodded. Old lady Zhao heaved a sigh. How many times has it been this month? Mom, I'm fine. Zhao Shen continued. I'm going to bed, you should also go to sleep early. Watching Zhao Shen walk towards the study, old lady Zhao furrowed her brow deeply. She walked over, picked up the telephone and dialed a number. After hanging up, old lady Zhao headed towards the Buddha Hall in the backyard. The Zhao family's study was quite large. Having freshly emerged from the bathroom, the telephone on the desk began to ring. Zhao Shen walked over to answer it. Hello. A soft and urgent female voice came from across the line. Hello? Is this Sister Furong? Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. It was clearly Lin Fang's voice. This is Zhao Shen. There was a moment of pause on the other side of the line. Then came the voice. Brother-in-law, I'm at a public telephone booth on Cart Road. It's raining heavily outside. My bicycle has been stolen, and I think someone has been following me. Can you help me? Other than Sister Furong, I really can't find anyone else to help me. As she spoke her last words, Lin Feng's voice was filled with a sobbing tone. She sounded lonely and helpless, completely irresistible. Zhao Shen was inherently a righteous man. Faced with such a situation, he naturally couldn't ignore it. All right. Stay right there, I'll be right there. Thank you, brother-in-law. Lin Feng hung up the phone, her face streaked with tears, yet a smirk of triumph played at the corner of her mouth. It rained heavily. The rain plinked and plunked upon the eaves, even mixed with bits of snow. Zhao Shen drove off, the headlight in the dark splitting the night with a ray of stark white light, illuminating his way. Hearing the engine of the car, old lady Zhao, who was seated in the Buddha hall, knocked on her bead bracelet, then suddenly put down her hammer, stood up, and lit a stick of incense that she placed in the censer. Amit Ba. Old lady Zhao joined her hands together and devoutly bowed her head. Meanwhile, Shangguan Furong had fallen into a deep sleep. Cart Road wasn't far from the Zhao family house, and Zhao Shen easily found the telephone booth mentioned by Lin Feng. Holding an umbrella, he stepped out of the car. Xiaolin? Comrade Xiaolin? Upon hearing Zhao Shen's voice, Lin Feng, who had been crouching in the corner of the telephone booth, immediately stood up as if seeing hope. She ran over to Zhao Shen and threw her arms around him, breaking into uncontrollable sobs. Lin Feng and Shangguan Furong were vastly different. Lin Feng was a delicate woman who needed protection, while Shangguan Furong was unyieldingly assertive. Zhao Shen was a man, and deep within his bones, hidden away, was a desire to conquer and to protect. Lin Feng's behavior, however, made up for what Shangguan Furong lacked. For a while, Zhao Shen found it hard to push Lin Feng away. Recalling how he had just been kicked out of their room by Shangguan Furong, Zhao Shen began to feel angry. In a fit of what felt like revenge, he embraced Lin Feng, dropping the black umbrella to the ground. The icy raindrops instantly soaked their clothes. On Lin Feng's face, a smug smile curled up at the corner of her mouth. Zhao Shen couldn't escape from her grasp after all. Thank you for coming, brother-in-law. Lin Feng choked out. Get in the car, I'll take you home. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. The two got in the car and Zhao Shen handed Lin Feng a dry towel. Wipe your face. Thank you, brother-in-law. Lin Feng accepted the towel and then asked, Can I call you by your name? That question carried a deep implication. Zhao Shen fell silent. Furong is older than you, it's better if you call me brother-in-law. At his words, although Lin Feng's face showed disappointment, she did not feel disheartened in her heart. Zhao Shen hadn't pushed her away earlier, indicating that he was wavering. Some things had to be taken step by step. Zhao Shen started the engine to leave. Just as the car reached the foot of the building, Lin Feng said, I don't want to go home. Then where do you want to go? Zhao Shen turned his head to look at Lin Feng. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 684. All the stars surround the moon, infinite scenery _4. Lin Feng looked at Zhao Shen, her face pale. As long as I don't have to go home, anywhere will do. Zhao Shen stayed silent for a while, ultimately choosing to drive away. Eventually, Zhao Shen parked in front of a villa with Lin Feng. Zhao Shen was truly wealthy. This villa was just one of many properties he owned. Looking at the luxurious villa, a determined expression flashed in Lin Feng's eyes. Zhao Shen led Lin Feng inside, where a servant immediately greeted them, Mr. Zhao. Zhao Shen nodded in acknowledgement. The servant looked up and was taken aback to see that the person accompanying Mr. Zhao this time was not Mrs. Zhao. Despite her surprise, the servant didn't show it. She was just a servant. Her job was to perform her duties properly. Zhao Shen took Lin Feng to the master bedroom on the 3rd floor. If you don't want to go home, you can stay here for the night. There are clothes in the closet, but they are all in Furong's size. If you don't mind, feel free to change into one. Lin Feng didn't say a word, her eyes cast down. She wanted to take a gamble. Just as Zhao Shen was about to turn and leave, she suddenly stood up and hugged Zhao Shen. Zhao Shen, I don't want to stay here temporarily, I want to live here forever. Also, I want the wardrobe to be filled with our clothes. Zhao Shen stiffened. After a long pause, he gently unclenched Lin Fang's hands. I'm sorry, we can't do this. I only love Farong. It's all right. I don't mind who you love, as long as you know I love you, Lin Fang said. As long as you're willing to be with me, I don't mind being nameless. Wuxia world. Sight Wuxia world. Sight Lin Fang's love was humble. She knew that she would only earn Zhao Shen's sympathy and pity by showing her humility. She was not Shangguan Farong, who was messing around with Zhao Shen's feelings just because he liked her. No. Zhao Shen coldly pushed Lin Fang away. What we are doing is wrong. Lin Fang looked at Zhao Shen and asked, Are you afraid of Shangguan Farong? Her words were like a catalyst, instantly igniting Zhao Shen's desire for revenge. Why should he fear Shangguan Farong? Lin Fang walked over. We are both pitiful people. Why don't we rely on each other for warmth? This time, Zhao Shen didn't reject Lin Fang, but instead embraced her. Somewhere along the line, someone turned off the light in the bedroom, leaving everything enveloped in darkness. In Beijing, it was customary for a bride-to-be to spend 3 nights at her groom's home after the engagement. She could only return home after 3 days. And Aiyang didn't want to remain as the third wheel. Moreover, she had workers to supervise at home, hence she didn't stay. Shangguan Dehui arranged for transportation to send the other villagers back. And Aiyang, however, rode in Mo Qixin's car. Yang. Mo Qixin, eyes focused on the road ahead, asked in a seemingly casual way, What's up? And Aiyang tilted her head slightly. Are you brave? Mo Qixin asked back. And Aiyang nodded. Quite. After all, what was there to be afraid of for someone who had experienced death before? Upon hearing this, a hint of disappointment flashed in Mo Qixin's eyes as he continued. Yang, are you afraid of ghosts? No. And Aiyang shook her head. Why do other girls fear ghosts but you don't? Questioned Mo Qixin. And Aiyang laughed. Brother Mo, if you have something to say, just say it directly. No need to beat around the bush. Mo Qixin cleared his throat and said simply, Well, I'm saying if you're afraid of being at home alone, I can stay with you. As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Qixin added, Yang, don't misunderstand. I'm just worried you might be scared. And Aiyang squinted her eyes. Are you harboring ulterior motives? I'm not. Yang, don't slander me. Mo Qixin's ears turned red. Tsk. And Aiyang reached out to pinch his ear. Look at you pretending to be a gentleman. Boss, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Focus on driving. Don't think about unnecessary things. And Aiyang sat up straight, turned on the car stereo, and a light song immediately filled the air. The tips of the peach leaves are sharp. The willow leaves cover the sky. Listen to my words, O Emperor Ming. This song, exploring the Clearwater River, was a narrative song popular in Beijing. And Aiyang remembered that in her previous life, a handsome young man turned this narrative song into a pop hit. Chapter 685. All the stars surround the moon, infinite scenery _5. At this moment in the 80s, hearing this ancient song again gave a sense of being transported through time and space. And Aiyang hummed along to it as she listened. Her voice was clear and melodious. When she hummed a tune, it carried an indescribable charm, like a gentle breeze in April, cleansing souls and refreshing minds. Mo Qixin glanced her way, a faint smile playing at the corner of his mouth. Even though he had slowed down, they quickly arrived at Jinghua village. And Aiyang got out of the car. Mo Qixin accompanied her to the entrance of the Inai family courtyard. Yang, remember to be safe when you're alone at home at night. Don't open the door to strangers, he cautioned. And Aiyang laughed and said, Isn't Aunt Inai next door? Don't worry, you'll be fine. Mo Qixin hugged her. His eyes spoke of his reluctance to leave. And Aiyang returned his hug and said, Brother Mo, to be honest, I'm quite scared. Why don't you stay and protect me? Even though society was conservative concerning male-female relationships, inviting a man to stay for the night was quite daring. But Aiyang trusted Mo Qixin. Despite sometimes being mischievous, Mo Qixin was an uncommonly honorable man. Really? Mo Qixin's eyes lit up. Wuxia world. Sight really? And Aiyang nodded. They both went inside the house together. And Aiyang prepared the next room for him. Brother Emo, you can stay here tonight. There's a bathroom in the room. Okay. Emo Chishin nodded in agreement. That night, Emo Chishin had the most restful sleep ever. The next morning, Emo Chishin was up before dawn. Since Enai Tsuehua was not home, he would take up the responsibility of caring for Enai Yang. He wanted to prepare a surprise for Enai Yang. Emo Chishin quietly went downstairs to the kitchen, rolled up his sleeves, and prepared to make breakfast. The kitchen of the Enai family was designed by Enai Yang. On one side, there was a simple, Western-style gas stove. On the other side, there was a traditional Chinese stove for burning firewood. Under normal circumstances, both Enai Yang and Enai Tsuehua used the traditional stove, as food cooked over a wood fire was much tastier than that cooked on a gas stove. After a bit of thought, Emo Chishin decided to use the traditional stove. Emo Chishin had not known how to cook before. He had never even been inside a kitchen. However, after spending so much time with Enai Yang, and often being her assistant, he gradually learned to cook. Emo Chishin opened the refrigerator. There was pork, tomatoes, leeks, greens, and other ingredients inside. So he decided to make pork and chive-filled dumplings for breakfast and tomato and vegetable noodles. From what he observed, Enai Yang loved noodles. Like Enai Yang, Emo Chishin was a man of action and started cooking immediately. Packing dumplings was not difficult, Enai Yang had taught him before. Though his dumplings didn't look as good as Enai Yang's, they were decent. As the minutes and seconds passed, the light outside grew brighter, and a streak of golden morning light shone through the window. When Enai Yang came down the stairs, she saw an apron-wrapped man, who usually exuded a chill aura, busily bustling around the stove. From Enai Yang's perspective, she had a perfect view of his sharp yet beautiful side profile. His thin lips were a barely visible line. He was deeply focused on cutting the tomatoes. His hands were very beautiful, clean, tidy, the joints well-defined, symmetrical and long. He was merely cutting tomatoes, but he did it with the authority of a powerful ruler. He who excels in study can follow an official career. He who excels in martial arts can become a guard. Enai Yang found this phrase fitting for Emo Chishin. Brother Emo. Enai Yang went to Emo Chishin's side. Yang. Emo Chishin looked surprised. How did you wake up so early? The food won't be ready for a while. Enai Yang laughed. Maybe I should take over. Cooking isn't really a man's job. Gender equality has long been recognized. Who said that the kitchen necessarily belonged to girls? Emo Chishin continued. Boss, your thinking is not advanced enough. Emo Chishin used to believe that a kitchen was not a place for a man. A man should be ambitious and can't allow himself to be confined to the kitchen. But ever since he met Enai Yang, let alone cooking in the kitchen, even if he had to scrub clothes or clean the toilet, he had not a single complaint. Enai Yang laughed lightly. All right, your thinking is advanced. Anyway, what's for breakfast? There are steamed dumplings and tomato noodles. Emo Chishin continued. Is there anything special you want to eat? I can make it for you. Chapter 686, Breaking News. _1 Lady Zhao never complained. Even if she did have any complaints, she dared not to voice them. After eating a few donuts, Shangguan Furong spoke again. Also, the porridge today doesn't seem as thick as yesterday's, Mom. Did you wake up late this morning? Upon hearing this, Lady Zhao, who was holding a donut, immediately stopped. Last night, she had spent almost the entire night in the Buddha Hall, indeed waking up a bit later than usual this morning. Could it be? Had Shangguan Furong noticed something? A chill ran down Lady Zhao's spine. She raised her head to glance at Shangguan Furong before saying, Sure, I'll pay more attention tomorrow morning. Shangguan Furong nodded contentedly. And I want to eat crystal pan-fried dumplings for breakfast tomorrow. It seemed Shangguan Furong hadn't noticed anything. Thus Lady Zhao let out a sigh of relief. After finishing breakfast, Shangguan Furong took out a tissue, elegantly wiped her mouth. By the way, where's Zhao Shen? Lady Zhao flinched but quickly tried to regain her composure. He had something to do and went out. Oh, Shangguan Furong nodded, paying it no further thought. I'm going over to my mom's. Today was Enai Kuihua's first day at the Shangguans. Naturally, she had to go and check on her. Otherwise, what standing would she have in the Shangguan household in the future? Wuxia world. Site Wuxia World. Site. Ko Anai Tsuehua was a new daughter-in-law, and as such she should serve her a cup of tea. She missed the opportunity last night, but this morning, she would definitely put Anai Tsuehua in her place. Sure. Lady Zhao stood up and escorted Shangguan Furong to the door. Seeing Shangguan Furong's disappearing figure, a layer of fine sweat formed on Lady Zhao's forehead. Just as Shangguan Furong left, Zhao Shen drove in. A ray of light flashed in Lady Zhao's eyes, and she went up to meet him at once. Shen Bao. Mom. Zhao Shen got out of the car. Zhao Shen glanced at Lady Zhao. Mom, Lady Zhao waved her hand. Don't say anything, I understand. Have you had breakfast yet? Zhao Shen shook his head. Lady Zhao replied. Come in and have a meal then, the soup is still hot. Okay. Zhao Shen nodded and followed Lady Zhao inside. Lady Zhao served Zhao Shen some porridge. Zhao Shen looked around the dining room. Where's Furong? She went to her mother's house. Lady Zhao replied. Zhao Shen lowered his head to drink a spoonful of porridge. Furong, she didn't find out anything, did she? No. Lady Zhao shook her head. That's good. Zhao Shen sighed in relief. Mom, the porridge you make is really delicious. His mood had improved. Even the plain porridge tasted better. Lady Zhao replied. You have a sweet tongue. A moment ago, Furong thought my porridge wasn't thick enough. Zhao Shen paused while drinking his porridge. Lady Zhao was now 78 years old, an age when one should be enjoying the tranquility of life, yet she had to endure the displeasure of her daughter-in-law. Despite having maids at home, Lady Zhao had to make breakfast every morning because Shangguan Furong preferred her cooking. It was forgivable that Shangguan Furong didn't express gratitude, but her complaints were unacceptable. It was his fault for not being filial. Lady Zhao, as if sensing Zhao Shen's concerns, laughed and said, Shenbao, you don't need to worry about me. As we age, waking up early and moving around to exercise is good for our bodies. People are like machines, if we don't move, we rust. Is it not just making breakfast? I've dealt with much worse when I was young. In her youth she endured hardship. Now when life has improved, she is still facing hardship. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen felt worse. He quickly finished a bowl of porridge and ran upstairs saying, Mom, I'm full. As Lady Zhao watched Zhao Shen's retreating figure, a glint of determination flashed in her eyes. After so many years, it was time for Zhao Shen to stand up for himself. Shangguan Furong arrived at the Shangguans. Lady Shangguan was in the living room, playing with little Anai Yun. Mom, where are my brother and Daya? Shangguan Furong had been in the house for quite some time, and she hadn't seen Anai Tsuehua, this newlywed, come forward to greet her. How rude. Lady Shangguan peeled a grape for little Anai Yun. They went out to watch a movie. It was currently the 11th month of the lunar calendar, and due to limited preservation technology, grapes were rare and difficult to buy, even for the wealthy. Shangguan Furong was shocked when she saw Lady Shangguan feeding little Anai Yun grapes. Did a child with no blood relation really deserve such good treatment from Lady Shangguan? Shangguan Furong noticed that Lady Shangguan treated little Anai Yun no different from her own grandchildren, Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing. Chapter 687 Breaking News. Underscore 2. But Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing are her own great-grandchildren. Can they be compared? Lady Shangguan really can't seem to prioritize. They went to watch a movie and left you alone at home to take care of the child? Yes. Lady Shangguan nodded. Our little Yunyun is so well-behaved and obedient. Yunyun, call Auntie. Auntie, little Anai Yun crisply called. Shangguan Furong ignored little Anai Yun and continued. Why? Why do they go out to have fun, and leave you alone at home to take care of the child? A child that has no blood relation with the Shangguan family. Shangguan Furong is now filled with anger. Because I really like little Yunyun. Lady Shangguan picked up little Anai Yun and decided to ignore Shangguan Furong. She really loved little Anai Yun a lot. Usually, Shangguan Dehui rarely came home, and Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi only returned on holidays. She was very bored alone at home, often just sitting on the sofa in a daze. But now it was different. Now she had little Anai Yun. Little Anai Yun was like a pistachio. With her company, Lady Shangguan felt she had grown a lot younger. Does she still go by the surname Anai? continued Shengguan Furong. Lady Shengguan frowned slightly. Furong, can't you worry less? Mom, do you really think we're charitable, raising other people's children? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Shengguan Furong crossed her arms. Little Anai Yun didn't understand what the adults were saying and blinked curiously. Lady Shengguan hugged little Anai Yun tightly. Yun, do you want to swing and slide in the back garden with Grandma? So that little Anai Yun could have more fun. Lady Shengguan had splurged to bring in a slide from another town. Sure. Little Anai Yun nodded. Lady Shengguan didn't bother with Shengguan Furong anymore. She took little Anai Yun to the back garden. Shengguan Furong watched Lady Shengguan's retreating figure, shook her head helplessly, and went to the master bedroom on the second floor. This was the room where Shengguan Dehui and Inai Tsuehua stayed last night. Shengguan Furong pushed open the door. The room was arranged very warmly, with a red scarf hanging on the coat rack. Shengguan Furong pushed open the bathroom door. A row of skincare products was set on the wash basin, all of which were the supreme edition of Icy Skin Jade. Without thinking, she knew that these skincare products belonged to Inai Tsuehua. With Inai Kuihua's status as a country woman, did she deserve such high-quality things? Shengguan Furong frowned, picked up a bottle of essence milk, and sniffed it. The supreme edition seemed to smell much better than the regular edition. Inai Tsuehua was just a peasant woman. Where did she get the money to buy Icy Skin Jade? Without having to think, she knew these cosmetics must have been given to her by Shengguan Dehui. Stealing was not Shengguan Furong's style. But using it shouldn't be a problem, right? After all, this was bought with the Shengguan family's money. Shengguan Furong turned on the faucet and washed her face carefully with face wash, followed by lotion and essential oils. She didn't know if it was just her imagination, but she felt this supreme edition was much better than the regular edition. She didn't even get to buy such a good thing. How come Inai Tsuehua got to benefit? Shengguan Furong looked at herself in the mirror and frowned slightly. By now, she had forgotten that Inai Tsuehua once gave her a box of the Supreme Edition Icy Skin Jade. She didn't cherish it and even questioned it as a fake, which embarrassed Inai Tsuehua. Shengguan Furong then opened the door of the neighboring cabinet. This cabinet was filled with perfumes and shampoos. But more importantly, Shengguan Furong found another box of extra Supreme Edition Icy Skin Jade. People queue up and couldn't buy it, but Inai Tsuehua had one for herself and another one to spare. Was this set of Icy Skin Jade meant to please her? Shengguan Furong narrowed her eyes and reached out to take the gift box. It took her a while before she put the gift box back. Even if Inai Tsuehua wanted to please her, she wouldn't accept Inai Tsuehua so easily. Unless Inai Tsuehua was willing to willingly change Inai Yang's and Inai Yun's surnames to Shengguan. Otherwise, she would never accept Inai Tsuehua. Shengguan Furong looked around the room for a while, then went downstairs. Furong, what were you doing upstairs? Asked Lady Shengguan, hugging little Inai Yun as she came in from outside. Shengguan Furong said, Mom, what a strange question. This is my home. Isn't there anywhere I'm not allowed to go? Chapter 688. Breaking News. _3. That's not what I meant. The old lady Shengguan continued. Your brother and Daya are very happy together, and you as a sister should offer blessings, not create chaos. I know, Shengguan Furong replied. Old lady Shengguan went on. And I have to repeat, keep an eye on Lin Fong. You're so stubborn, and it will be your downfall. Shengguan Furong laughed and said, Mother, you've been saying this all the time. Have you ever considered my feelings? Lin Fong is my best friend. I trust her just as you trust Daya. How would you feel if I continuously spoke ill of Daya in front of you? Shengguan Furong and Lin Fong were very good friends now, and she didn't believe Lin Fong would do anything to harm her. Old lady Shengguan sighed. I'm just saying, whether you listen or not is up to you. Shengguan Furong originally planned to stay at the Shengguan family until Inai Tsuehua returned. After all, Inai Tsuehua still had the ice skin jade to give her. But she waited until the afternoon, and Inai Tsuehua had not returned yet. Shengguan Furong no longer had the patience to wait. She planned to play cards with the rich ladies. Now that she had a membership card for Gus Tianxiang, she naturally went to the third floor of Gus Tianxiang to play cards. Not far from the Shengguan household, Shangguan Furong ran into Lin Fang. Sister Furong, where are you going? To play cards. Shangguan Furong answered. Lin Fang said with envy, having a loving husband is really different. Unlike me, I can only play on my rest days. Where would I find the time to play otherwise? Shangguan Furong laughed smugly. So it's not only about finding a good husband for a woman, but also having the ability to manage the family. Lin Fang nodded. You're right, Sister Furong. I'm envious of capable women like you. I'm simply not like that. Shangguan Furong patted Lin Fang's hand. These things can't be forced. Lin Fang seemed envious on the surface but was scoffing inside. What did Shangguan Furong have to be so smug about? Did she know that Zhao Shen had already betrayed her? It wouldn't be long before Zhao Shen would discard Shangguan Furong like trash. Lin Fang continued, Sister Furong, can I accompany you to play cards and broaden my horizons? Shangguan Furong agreed without a second thought because Lin Fang made such a thoughtful request. The two went to the VIP room on the third floor of Gus Tianxiang. Lin Fang said, thanks to Sister Furong, it's my first time in such a sophisticated place. Shangguan Furong turned around in surprise. But isn't the membership card from you? Lin Fang laughed a little, then said, Sister Furong, how can I afford such an expensive membership card? Someone gave it to me too. With my status, if you weren't with me, I wouldn't be in such a place. Only you, Sister Furong, can use this membership card. Lin Fang's flattery made Shangguan Furong very happy. As soon as they opened the door of the VIP room, Jia Zhenjin, Zhao Yun and another rich lady had already arrived. Shangguan Furong introduced Lin Fang to everyone. Hello sisters, I am Lin Fang. Please take care of me in the future. Take care of me in the future? That could be interesting. The other three exchanged glances, all seeing confusion in each other's eyes. Lin Fang had excellent social skills, and through her flattery, she quickly became accepted within this inner circle. That evening, Shangguan Furong brought Lin Fang back to the Zhao family. When Zhao Shen saw Lin Fang, he was slightly surprised and seemed somewhat unnatural. This was not Lin Fang's first time at the Zhao family. However, considering what had transpired between the two of them the night before, their encounter now was somewhat awkward. What are you waiting for? Go make some tea for Lin Fang. Shangguan Furong rolled her eyes at Zhao Shen. Shangguan Furong was deliberately showing off her status in the family in front of Lin Fang. Little did she know, it's crucial to save face for a man in front of outsiders. Lin Fang swiftly took the teapot from Zhao Shen's hands, her fingers brushing against his palm. She smiled and asked, why would we need brother-in-law for this? I can do it myself. Sister Furong, do you like sugar in your tea? Shangguan Furong, who was accustomed to domineering and others' compliance, failed to notice anything amiss. No, I like pure green tea. All right. Lin Fang went to make the tea. Chapter 689 Breaking News. _4. Old Lady Zhao stood in front of the carved railing on the third floor, watching everything below, her lips curling upwards slightly. All peacetime is born out of the ashes of warfare. It applies to a family as well. Only after experiencing war can one truly understand peace. Otherwise, some people would simply not know how to cherish it. In the evening, Lin Fang stayed for dinner at the Zhao's. All was tranquil at the dinner table, but under it, Lin Fang discreetly kicked Zhao Shen. Zhao Shen, taken aback, looked up, only to see Lin Fang's smiling face. Fearing that Shangguan Furong would notice, he quickly resumed eating. You guys carry on, I'm going to the restroom. Lin Fang put down her chopsticks and headed towards the restroom. I'm off for a smoke. Zhao Shen also left the table. As soon as he stepped out of the dining room, someone gently grabbed his wrist. The pair slipped into the storeroom at the end of the corridor. I missed you. In the darkness, they embraced tightly. Across the hallway and around the corner was the dining room, where Shangguan Furong was finishing her meal. She was unaware that her husband and her good friend were in a tight embrace on the other side of the wall. What an irony! After a while, they showed up in the dining room one after the other. After dinner, Lin Fang suggested leaving. To emphasize her status within the Zhao family, Shangguan Furong said, Zhao Shen, drive Lin Fang home. Is it appropriate? Zhao Shen hesitated. Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. Do as you're told. Enough of your nonsense. Zhao Shen nodded silently, picked up the car keys and left. Lin Feng laughed. Sister Furong, you really know how to handle your brother-in-law. Piece of cake. Lin Feng looked extremely pleased. The next morning, Shangguan Furong made another visit to the Shangguan house. As she entered the Shangguan's courtyard, she ran into Anai Cuehua escorting Su Lian out of the entrance. Furong. Anai Cuehua took the initiative to greet her. Shangguan Furong responded indifferently with a nod. She was still bothered about Anai Cuehua's status. If it wasn't for Shangguan Dihui's infatuation, Anai Cuehua wouldn't be able to set foot inside the Shangguan residence. At this moment, Shangguan Furong noticed that Su Lian was holding a box of the Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade Beauty. Wasn't that Ice Skin Jade Beauty something Anai Cuehua used to curry favor with her? Then why was it now taken away by Su Lian? Shangguan Furong felt extraordinarily upset, as if her precious possession had been stolen. Could it be that Anai Cuehua had prepared two sets? One for Su Lian and the other for her? Lucky Su Lian, despite having nothing to do with the Shangguan family, still managed to gain a benefit here. Shangguan Furong went in with Anai Cuehua. She waited a long time, had lunch at the Shangguans, but until dinner time when she left, Anai Cuehua didn't present her with the Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade Beauty. What's going on? Could it be that Anai Cuehua had forgotten? Asking for things directly was not Shangguan Furong's style. She had ways to make Anai Cuehua obediently give them to her. Suppressing her rage, Shangguan Furong left the Shangguans and made Zhao Shen sleep in the study that night. Today was the 14th of November, Mo Kishan's birthday. Anai Yang got up early in the morning. She put on a plain white cheongsam, threw a maroon coat over it, grabbed the gift she had prepared, greeted Anai Cuehua, and left the house. Yet Anai Yang didn't go directly to Missouri Kishan's place. Instead, she rode her bicycle to the rose garden. Jinghua village had almost 300 acres of rose fields. Since it was winter, the rose garden was covered with plastic sheets to form a greenhouse. There was straw on the outside of the greenhouse to keep the interior warm. Even though it was deep winter, the greenhouse was filled with fiery red roses, an exquisite sight. Yang, why have you come so early? Auntie Lin, who was looking after the greenhouse, was surprised to see Anai Yang. Anai Yang parked her bike and smiled. Auntie Lin, I've come to pick some roses. This patch of roses belonged to Auntie Lin's family. Ever since they planted roses, Auntie Lin had made 200 or 300 yuan. Seeing Anai Yang was like seeing the god of wealth for her. She laughed saying, come in, it's cold outside. Feel free to pick whatever roses you like from the garden. Generally, they would pick roses, weigh them, and deliver them to the Anai family. Anai Yang personally coming over most likely meant she wanted to pick a few roses to put in a vase back home. Just typical of a girl who loved flowers and plants. Anai Yang went inside with Auntie Lin. Chapter 690. Breaking news. _5. Aunt Lin handed Anai Yang a pair of scissors. Yang, just cut whichever one you fancy, don't stand on ceremony with me. Thank you, Aunt Lin. Anai Yang took the scissors and picked out the roses with the most attractive buds, cutting 36 roses. Then Anai Yang took out 3 colored pieces of plastic paper and a red string from her bag to wrap the roses. Just a bit of wrapping paper dramatically elevated the rose's appeal. Aunt Lin was amazed. Yang, you're truly impressive. Anai Yang laughed. Aunt Lin, it's the roses that are beautiful to begin with. After wrapping the roses, Anai Yang took out a yuan coin from her pocket and gave it to Aunt Lin. She paid 3 cents per pound for the roses in the village. With 36 roses, including branches and leaves, it was about 2 to 3 pounds. Aunt Lin refused to take Anai Yang's money. It's just a few roses, Yang. If you insist on paying, wouldn't that belittle me? Anai Yang laughed and said, this is what you make a living from, and I can't just take it for free. Please keep the money, otherwise, I won't have the nerve to come over and pick roses next time. Unable to refuse Anai Yang, Aunt Lin reluctantly took the money. Just 1 yuan is too much. These flowers weigh at most 2 pounds. Yang, you must take the change, no matter what. Anai Yang took the change, picked up the roses, and rode her bike to the urban area. Mo Qishan no longer lives at the Mo family home, but in his own villa. and Na-young rode her bike to Emo Kishin's villa and rang the doorbell. Emo Kishin was not a morning person. It was only 7 o'clock in the morning, and the doorbell woke him up, leaving him in a terrible mood. Who could be at the door? His servants hadn't started working yet, and he didn't like to have strangers stay over, so he had to answer the door himself. Emo Kishin's face was taut, and his thin lips were almost a straight line as he climbed out of bed and threw off the duvet. A strong, intimidating aura radiated from him. A disgruntled boss is not a good thing. When Emo Kishin opened the door with his frosty demeanor, he was met with a bouquet of fiery red roses. Ta! Happy birthday, Brother Emo! A face as beautiful as a painting emerged from behind the bouquet. Contrary to the adage, she even put the roses to shame. Instantly, Emo Kishin lost all his temper. He picked up Na-young and asked, "Yang, how did you know today is my birthday?" Na-young, holding the roses in one hand and wrapping her other arm around Emo Kishin's neck, responded, "Didn't you know I can predict the future?" "Yang, you're brilliant." Emo Kishin, overjoyed, spun Na-young around several times. No one but his parents had ever genuinely remembered his birthday. At this moment, denying his feelings would be a lie. "Yang, thank you." Emo Kishin hugged Na-young tightly. "Why are you talking nonsense?" Na-young returned, smiling. "By the way, Brother Emo, besides the roses, I prepared another mysterious gift for you. Can you guess what it is?" Emo Kishin rubbed his nose. "A tie?" "No." Na-young shook her head. "Clothes." Na-young continued shaking her head. "Perhaps shoes?" Na-young still shook her head. Despite guessing several items, Emo Kishin got them all wrong. Na-young sighed. "Brother Emo, you're truly hopeless." Emo Kishin shamelessly responded, "I'm dumb, and you're smart. We complement each other perfectly." Only then did Na-young produce a gift she had started preparing months prior. "Do you like it?" It was a wine-colored knitted scarf. Although it didn't look too attractive, it was warm. "I love it." Emo Kishin nodded hastily. Yang, did you make this yourself?" Na-young smiled faintly. Finally, a smart guess. It was her first time knitting a scarf. It took over a month of undoing and redoing the knitting to finally finish it. Oddly, she usually picks up things quickly, but knitting scarves was not one of them. "Help me put it on." "Sure." Na-young nodded, picked up the scarf, stood on tiptoes and said, "Just bend down a little." Emo Kishin bent down as instructed, and Na-young effortlessly put the scarf around his neck. But at that moment, a cool touch suddenly grazed the corner of her lips. The scent of tobacco filled her nostrils. Light and pleasant. Just as sudden, he released her. Na-young headed towards the kitchen. "Brother Emo, you haven't had breakfast yet, have you?" "I'll do it." Emo Kishin followed Na-young's footsteps. Emo Kishin felt that as long as he was there, Na-young shouldn't be cooking alone. "You're the birthday boy today. How could I let you cook?" "I'll do it." Na-young pushed Emo Kishin towards the door. "Quickly go upstairs and get changed. Once you're dressed, we can eat." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.